No, no. This is good. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the City of North Miami Beach's City Council meeting of Tuesday, March 17, 2015. Madam Clerk, will you please take the roll?
Councilman DeFilippo.
Here.
Councilwoman Kramer. Here. Vice Mayor Martell.
Present.
Councilman Pierre. That sounds somewhere.
Yep.
Councilwoman Smith.
Present.
Councilwoman Spiegel. I'm here. Mayor Valle.
I'm here.
We have quorum.
Thank you very much. And if everyone would please rise for a moment for invocation this evening given by our City Clerk and the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you.
Let us pray. To the Creator and Sustainer of all that is or will ever be, accept our thanks for this day, at this moment, and at this time. Guide our thoughts and our actions during this meeting. Guide our leaders as they deliberate for the good of this community. Grace our fellowship this evening with your presence so that we are ever mindful of the opportunity to render our service. Strengthen us as we labor here for the future generations of our community. As we work, live, and play in this community, remind us each that each one should keep one. For I am not only my brother's keeper, but I am my brother. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. And do we have any requests for changes to tonight's agenda?
Mr. Mayor, we will be removing from the agenda the two appointments to the Education Board and the Recreation Committee to be brought back at a later date.
That's it?
That is it.
Thank you very much. Well, it's nice to see such a great crowd this evening, and I see like a sea of green out here, so I guess we're going to have all the luck of the Irish today on St. Patrick's Day, so that's good. Welcome, everybody. All right, let's begin with our presentations this evening. I'm going to start with turning over the floor to Councilwoman Kramer for Beautiful Home Awards. Councilwoman?
Esmond?
With your green beads and green purse.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. And this evening we have another installment of the Beautiful Home Awards. These are residents that have done a wonderful job keeping their properties looking great, awesome curb appeal, paint jobs, landscaping, and we're hoping that when other residents see these houses with this great sign in front of their house, that they might get the same idea to beautify their home too and continue this throughout our city to always make it more beautiful. I'd like to bring up the Beautification Committee, those that are here: T.C. Camazuli, Ketley Joaquin, Luna Franco, Bruce Lamberto. Thank you. Finally, we have just about a full house. That's awesome. Okay. Well, our first presentation goes to Blessington and Rita Toyloy, and we should have a picture of their house.
They're there.
Beautiful. Are you all here?
They're in the back.
Oh, please come up. Yes, please. Thank you so much. Your house really stands out. It's so clean. It's so beautiful. The landscaping is awesome and your choices of vegetation. So we're thrilled that you did this for our community, of course, for your house first, but you have no idea how much it means to us. So thank you so much. And we'd like to present you with this token of appreciation. And then we also have this sign that we would like you to post in front of your house so that other people do the same as you. Thank you so much. All right, well, you know what? I think we'll wait. We'll bring everybody up and we'll take a single
Yes,
picture.
that's a good idea.
Okay. I've got the director, the mayor, telling me what to do in the back. Okay, now we have Rosanna Gale Perry.
Rosanna?
Rosanna, please come up. Also, gorgeous house. Thank you, Rosanna. Here too is a
That
token of our
address has to be
appreciation with the
corrected.
certificate and also the sign to put in your house. Your house caught everyone's eye just as driving by that shot of yellow made us turn around and say, that's the one. And when we got in front of it, we really had not realized it really was just such a beautiful job. So we thank you very much.
The address is wrong. The address is wrong.
The address is what?
Incorrect.
Okay.
It should be 17115.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. All right, and now we have another beautiful home award to present to Man Long Cheng. I hope I pronounced that right. Please come up. It's so great to see the people that live in these great houses. And also, a beautiful job. We see the topiaries and just everything you've done. Clean, pretty, just so well kept, and we really appreciate everything you do. A nice koi pond, of course, right? So here's a token of our appreciation with that certificate, and here's a sign to proudly present in front of your home.
Awesome. Beautiful.
And last but not least, boy, we've been trying to get Marcel and his wife up here for a really long time, but since you're seasonal, we had to catch you when we could, and we finally did. Marcel and Claire Laprade, if you would please come forward.
All right.
This is just a beautiful home in Highland Village. You really just want to go out there and have a tequila sunrise on the front porch. It's just beautiful. Okay, lemonade, whatever.
Lemonade.
And please, hi, how are you? It's so nice to see you. Please accept this certificate of appreciation for a job always well done. And please post this proudly in front of your home and give lots of other neighbors in Highland Village great ideas by what you do, and they can copy it just as well. Thank you, Marcel. Thank you very much.
Can you take a photo with everybody, with the whole team?
Yeah, that picture does not do justice, but anyone could see these and certainly drive by and get some great ideas from your fellow neighbors. And if everybody comes together, we can take a nice picture.
Beautiful. There you go.
So,
Outstanding.
where do you want me?
In the middle.
Look over there. That's a little tighter for the shot. This is for the newsletter.
Thank you all so very much. Really, really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Thank you for all you do.
Thank you to all our recipients this evening. You guys are fantastic, and believe me, your beautiful properties just radiate that beauty across the block, and that helps the neighborhood, and that helps the city. So we really, really appreciate everything that you guys do to keep your homes so beautiful. Thank you. We have our next proclamation we have a proclamation. This is Women's History Month. And we have a proclamation to read into the record in recognition of all the outstanding achievements throughout history that have been achieved by women, outstanding women, not only in our country but worldwide in our community. Madam Clerk, will you please read the proclamation into the record?
I will not read the whole proclamation, but I will start the beginning. Whereas during Women's History Month, we honor the women at the heart of this journey, those who labored bravely in the face of insurmountable odds for equality and opportunity, those who without their efforts and determination, women's suffrage would still be a concept and not a right. Now therefore, the Mayor and Council of the City of North Miami Beach do hereby join our counterparts in recognizing March 2015 as Women's History Month. We call upon public officials, educators, librarians, and all the people of the United States to observe this month with appropriate programs, ceremonies, and activities. And in the words of the late Maya Angelou, you all make me proud to call myself WOMEN.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk, and congratulations to all of our outstanding women out in the community. And our next one is we have a proclamation that's recognizing Procurement Month. Wait a minute. Mr. Serta, that's for you, right?
Well, I'd like to call up, if I could, please, the great team from procurement. If I could have Brian O'Connor, Christina Cimarero, Lori Williams, and Genesis Cuevas, if they're here, please. I hope it doesn't fall on anyone's ears accidentally that today being St. Patrick's Day, we are recognizing one of Brian O'Connor.
Yes.
O'Connor. All right, O'Connor.
All for you, O'Connor.
A portion of the proclamation reads, whereas the procurement, contracting, and materials and management profession plays a significant role in the efficiency and effectiveness of both government and business, and the local NIGP, chapters, other professional purchasing organizations, and purchasing staff throughout the world encourage in special efforts during the month of March to inform the public about the importance of the role played by the purchasing professionals in business, industry, and government, and to celebrate and recognize the work of procurement professionals. That now, therefore, the Mayor and Council of the City of North Miami Beach, Florida, do hereby proclaim the month of March 2015 as Procurement Month in the City of North Miami Beach, Florida. Congratulations, guys.
Mayor and Council, thank you very much. We've always supported your support for us and the manager and Mr. Serta as well. We truly appreciate the team that you've assembled for us, and we're just growing and growing, so we appreciate everything you've done for us. Thank you. Absolutely. Very true. Very true. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Brian.
No volunteers? Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Mr. O'Connor. Thank you to everybody from the procurement team. Thank you, guys, for everything you do for the city.
That's a nice, beautiful. Thank you, guys.
Guys, thank you. You guys make sure that all our money is spent properly, and you make sure you find us the best deals for our taxpayers' dollars, so we appreciate that. Thank you, guys. Okay, let's go ahead. We're done with our presentations. Let's go ahead, Madam Clerk. Let's open the floor for public comment if any residents wish to address the council.
The Mayor and the City and the Council of the City of North Miami Beach have opened the meeting for public comment at this time. There is a 3-minute time limit for each speaker during public comment or for testimony during public hearings. Speakers will be called to the podium. Please state your name and address and/or the name and address of the organization in which you are representing. During public hearing items, please speak only on the subject matter that is before council. The Mayor and Council of the City of North Miami Beach recognize the importance of civility. The City of North Miami Beach requests all in attendance to exercise civility towards each other. Our first speaker is the Honorable Kenneth DeFilippo.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council persons, and staff. I'm here tonight to commend you and our city manager, city attorney, and staff. Finally, we have new development.
Your name and address for the record, please.
Kenneth DeFilippo, 17830 Northeast 10th Avenue.
Thank you.
Marina Palms, the Hyatt Hotel, the new mixed-use project at the entrance to Government Center. Improvements on our main corridors, West Dixie Highway, the Industrial Park. Our neighborhoods are beginning to look like a city that families looking to buy will move into. When I first met our city manager discussing the future of our city, she said, Rome wasn't built in a day. But I promise you we will move our city forward with new development and improve the codes. Well, take a good look around. It's happening. This didn't just happen. It's because our city manager hired qualified personnel with experience and dedication. Approximately 2 weeks ago, on Sunday, I noticed violations surrounding my commercial property. I sent an email to the city manager and Mr. Sosa Cruz. Within 1 hour on a Sunday, a code officer was there and violations were given out. While there, he noticed so many depressed properties with violations that he notified the city manager. Immediately, violations were given, and you should see the improvements in that area. Also on Sunday, I saw our city manager on 163rd Street inspecting the work being done by our city and the new palm trees and plants. Never, never, ever have I seen a city manager reply to an email on a Sunday and out in our city inspecting the work being done. As a longtime resident, I personally want to thank you very, very much. Good evening.
Thank you, Mr. DiFilippo. Thank you for those kind words for staff.
Roland Valou, then Ketney Joaquim, and then Bruce Lamberta.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Mayor, Council Member, City Manager, and you, and all of you. Bonsoir, Madam.
Name and address for the record.
I always said I like to give
Name and
credit.
address for the record.
Oh,
please.
yes. Still the same place.
But tell me again.
Okay. 13730 Highland Drive,
Okay.
North Miami Beach, Florida, Arch Creek District.
Thank you.
Arch Creek. Merci.
Arch Creek Heights, right?
Arch Creek. No island. I have to give credit to the code enforcement. About 3 weeks ago, there's somebody that came over and brought me a sheet, fill it up with names on it, about 25, 30 names. And they were complaining about the menu in French. Not the menu working for you, but this one here. That's what we call it in French, menu. And they were complaining. Then finally, I called Angel. Angel came over. I gave him the paper, and he said, I don't know what I can do about it, but he said, I'm going to bring it to my boss, and he was going to do it. Then he brought it to Mr. Candido. Mr. Candido, within a week, I had a woman, beautiful woman, came over and talked to me about the cat, and she said that we know that we have problem with the cat. We have about 450,000 cat loose in the county. But the only thing we can do, try to do something about it. It's not going to be a one-day job. He said we have to do something about it. Bring them to Metro-Dade, and they're going to fix it. They're going to spay them for nothing, or neuter them. I asked them if you could take care of me. Well, she said, we're not supposed to do it, but before you will do it. Then when I turned around, I told my wife about it. She said, when? They were going to do it. Anyway, then if somebody wants to do it, you have to call Miami-Dade, and it's open from 7 o'clock in the morning to 4 o'clock afternoon. You bring your cat over there, they go take care of it, then you have to go there and pick them up and bring them home. They don't keep them. And they said they got about 2 million in the whole state of Florida. Then if you do have cat, not your menu, but if you do have cat, get them fixed. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Councilwoman Smith.
You're going to be very excited.
Yes.
Very excited. Are you listening? Because I want you to know that on March 28th, in conjunction with Commissioner Heyman, Sally Heyman, this city is having a free spade and neutering right here in North Miami Beach at the Yes Center. You have to be a resident. It'll be online, and it'll be 110% free for all these cats to come. We're even trying to work out if we can get a room to do the dogs as well. So know that that's coming within 2 weeks, March 28th. It's a Saturday morning, and please watch. Do we know when it'll go online? It should go online for
Going online within the next couple
within the next couple of days. So Commissioner Hayman's office is going around city to city, and we just insisted that they bring in the city here, and she is going to do that on March 28th, and I will be there, and I'm very excited to help in your endeavor to make it litter-free.
Thank you very much. In order to please my wife, please put my name on it, right? On the
There you
list.
go.
We love cats, we just don't want them to keep going more and more and more, so.
More to love.
Right.
Thank you, Councilwoman Smith.
Thank you.
Next speaker, please.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ketley Josham. I reside at 210 Northeast 170th Street. Madam, thank you. With our city moving forward, and the past few months, I have been knocking on doors since I'm a candidate for office in Group 5. One thing that I have realized about our city is that our alleys, we seem to have a problem with it, Madam Manager. Most of our alleys seems to be unattended and are open to all type of activities that are happening there. Illegal dumping, people who do not live in our city are dumping all type of things. We have scavengers that are going through these alleys. With us having our water utilities and meters in those alleys, FPL has easement in those alleys. There is a possibility of damage to be done to some of those equipment, those meters and easement. And if something toxic should be dumped in one of those alleys, it can put our resident, our police officers, and our city employees in harm's way. One of the suggestions that I have, Madam Manager, is to possibly form some type of task force with codes, sanitation, and our police department to see if we can find some type of solution for our residents. Because I've been getting quite a few phone calls about that. I know there are maybe certain areas where some people do not want us to close those alleyways. But for the homeowners who want to have these alleys closed, maybe some type of chain link fence, and we can put do not trespass in order to protect our people. Thank you very much. Have a good evening, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Bruce Lamberto, 3420 Northeast 165th Street.
After Bruce.
I believe it was about 6 months ago, one of our residents, Muriel Kemp, came here and stood before the council and talked about the lifetime health care insurance and the out-of-pocket reimbursements that had taken place in the past. And she had asked if the end was, if there was an end to that program. I think with Councilman DeRose, I think that was the end of the program, but we never heard any feedback on whether this program is continuing with the lifetime health care insurance and the out-of-pocket expenses. And the reason I'm asking this is because so far I understand it's costing around $350,000 a year to provide this, and yet our CRA only has around $110,000 budget in it and of free cash available for improvements in our CRA. So it seems like it's kind of like backwards here. We really need to somehow put an end to this program if it still exists and actually utilize that money for the betterment of our city and our citizens with redevelopment. And, we certainly, it's money well invested in the CRA where you can sprout new projects with that money rather than the giveaway issues that we've been doing in the past. So could someone maybe provide that in the near future?
Well, let me the speaker thing. Are you set? Are you done, Mr. Lumber?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, because we don't do a Q&A back and forth, but
thank you.
Let me just say one
Okay, go
thing
ahead.
real quick. I mean, Muriel hasn't been to a lot of meetings lately, but it was a while ago, and she kind of called me out on it. But whatever happened with that, Mr. City Attorney? I mean, I know we had talked about it, and then you were going to look into it, and I think it was employees and
this may be a complicated answer, so
No,
this may
but I
not.
wanna
This may be
just-
something
maybe
more
we-
for direction to bring it
so,
back. But
So is this something you could look into and at least bring it back, sooner than later, just to satisfy some people that have been asking about it? And
You mean the history and how we got here and what the
right.
entitlements
Well,
are?
what I remember, Mrs. Kemp asking was she didn't believe there were any ordinances or resolutions, that she went through history. She had a stack of papers, and I think we're just trying to get some clarification. If you want, we can meet at a separate time. And
1 second. I just heard, there seems to be, was there some direction in the past given to actually do this before, and we just never got it back?
When I was
I
first,
hear, getting a nod here, so it seems to be remembered. So,
when I was first brought on board, there were conversations that I had with some of you and conversations that I had with staff to go back and try to figure out what those benefits are, whether certain people were vested, whether or not certain members of the council were vested, and we assigned that issue to one of our outside labor counsel. And at my direction, he has gone back and researched this entire subject. He went back probably 10 years. He's in the middle of finalizing his report.
okay.
And when we have answers, we'll be happy to bring them to you.
Okay. So it is being worked on. Okay, perfect. Well, we'll look forward to seeing that then. Thank you. Thank you. Madam Clerk, next speaker.
That was the last speaker, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, let's go ahead and move on, and let's take our consent agenda. I see item 8.1, 8.2, and 8.3.
Move to approve the consent agenda item 8.1, 8.2, and 8.3.
Second.
Okay, on the consent agenda, moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Item 8.1 are the regular meeting minutes of February 3rd, 2015. 8.2, regular meeting minutes, February 17th, 2015. 8.3, resolution number R 2015-23. A resolution of the mayor and city council of the city of North Miami Beach, Florida, appointing Alexander Boxner, Esquire, to serve as a local hearing officer for contested notices of violations issued pursuant to the Dangerous Intersection Safety Act of the City of North Miami Beach. And those are the consent items.
Okay. Are you finished, Mr. Attorney?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, question here.
That last item ties in with, there was a, I think, Miami Herald article about 28,000 red light tickets in Broward County were thrown out by 2 judges this week, and in Hollywood, I think last week, there were 12,000 red light tickets thrown out. Can you update us on what is the status of red light tickets and red light cameras within our city, and whether there's a substantial likelihood that we're going to find ourselves in the same position?
But not right now. Is there anybody else that wants to have that information? Because let's give direction to bring it. But yeah, I'm kind of curious what the story is too.
Yeah.
But it seems like that's going to be a very lengthy answer.
I'll try to limit it to 30 seconds.
Okay, go
How's
ahead.
that?
30 seconds you got.
The 4th District Court of Appeals, which sits in Palm Beach County and governs Palm Beach and Broward, ruled that the red light camera program that was in effect in Hollywood was unconstitutional. And I'm not going to get into all the specifics of it. So the courts in Broward County, Fort Lauderdale, have decided that they were going to throw out all the red light camera tickets. Fort Lauderdale discontinued the program just a couple of weeks ago. As far as we are concerned, nobody has filed a challenge against the program that we have here in the city. So we're enforcing it, and it's valid, and it's our position that our program is constitutional.
All right. Thank you. Is this a red light camera question?
I have just one quick question.
Okay, because, all right, go ahead.
I just want to know, it was originally set up that the money from the red light camera was put in reserve. Do we still have some in reserve?
There is a trust account, and I believe the money is in reserve. Perhaps the manager can weigh in on that.
Not right now. Bring that information back, because we're going to this is not an item on agenda. We're not going to get into red light discussion right now. We can deal with it next meeting if you need to. Bring us all the information. Okay.
Can we, specific direction for the next meeting on the agenda, let's have a report on red light cameras, our program, where the money is, and what, because we just hired somebody.
That I can live with.
Yeah,
that's good. Okay, we took care of the consent agenda. Madam Manager, I see your report, and it's like, it's going over the half-page rule. So I'm going to ask if my colleagues said nobody objects that we move your report back so that we can get to our legislation, since we have a lot of folks here that I believe came to for the legislative. We can get these updates afterward. So, Mr. Attorney, I'm going to do the same thing with your report. And Madam Clerk, I know that one of the legislative items is about elections, so let's give us the explanation at the time we bring that one up so that we can go in order. All right, so let's bring our first legislative item, which is 15.1. If I can get a motion to introduce it.
Mr. Mayor, just before you...
Wait, I have a motion to introduce.
Just before you introduce the resolution, I would like to ask Vice Mayor Mattel if she agrees to put a discussion item for the end, because we just skip her item.
You were deferring that, right? I think you said earlier?
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to defer that item.
Okay, yeah, she had requested to defer it. I'm sorry, I skipped over it. I apologize. Okay.
Move to introduce ordinance number 2015-3, second and final reading.
Second.
Mr. Attorney.
An ordinance of the Mayor and City Council of the City of North Miami Beach, Florida, adopting amendments to the comprehensive plan, including to the future land use map, text changes to the future land use and transportation elements, amending the Fulford MUTC mixed-use town center district, creating the 163rd Street South MUEC mixed-use employment center, 159th Street MUEC mixed-use employment center, West Dixie Highway MUNC Mixed-Use Neighborhood Center, Arch Creek MUC Mixed-Use Corridor, Northwest MUWF Mixed-Use Waterfront, Eastern MUWF Mixed-Use Waterfront, and South MUWF Mixed-Use Waterfront Overlay Districts, amending the future land use map to change the future land use designation of certain property and apply the overlay designation to those certain properties as provided for in the attached Exhibit A, providing for certified copies of this ordinance and comprehensive plan to the Florida Department of Economic Opportunity and all other units of local government or governmental agencies as required under Chapter 163, Part 2 Florida statutes, providing for adoption pursuant to Section 163.3184 of the Florida statutes, providing for inclusion in the City of North Miami Beach Comprehensive Plan, providing for the repeal of all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict therewith, providing for severability and an effective date. This is second reading of that ordinance.
Move to approve.
Okay, Madam Manager, will you give us the brief explanation and kind of make sure to cover a little bit of the history of this, because I know there may be people watching that you know, to give them the backstory and how we got to this and at where we are.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of the council, residents watching at home, residents that are here today, and special guests. We embarked on a strategic plan. Thanks to our mayor and council, we approved a strategic plan initiative for this budget. It was unanimously adopted by our mayor and council. The strategic plan called for priorities for our city, special things and special endeavors that we needed to undertake for the enhancements of our city and realizing the full potential of our city. One of the top priorities that came out of that strategic plan was our comp plan and our zoning, an outdated comp plan and zoning that was really in the dark ages that we wanted to bring to the light. What we did is we assembled really one of the finest teams that I have ever seen in the 25 years that I've been working in municipal government. It was a hybrid team that was created working with our city attorney, Jose Smith. We were able to bring on board Sarah Johnston. We were able to bring Richard Lorber. We were able to bring Carlos Rivero, the great Jean Dolan, and the amazing Natasha Alfonso. It was such a tremendous group of individuals that have covered every single inch of our city. This has been an endeavor that has really been a labor of love. This has been nights and weekends, meeting with our stakeholders, meeting with our residents, meeting with every single one of these elected officials over and over, going back and forth, tweaking. This went to the state. The state unanimously approved it. Every single agency of the state, from economic development to transportation, approved this comp plan that is here before you tonight. This amazing document that was put together from beginning to end, and all the participation. We've had over 12 public meetings. We took the meetings out into the communities. We had meetings here. It's just been an amazing labor of love, everybody working together. What this does is really look at mixed use throughout our city. It really looks at enhancement of green space, enhancement of safety components to increasing the fire component and additional police components at Eastern Shores, to having access on 163rd Street to alleviate ingress and egress. Just a multitude of enhancement for the greater good of the city, from Hanford to Eastern Shores to Biscayne Boulevard to throughout corridors of our city. And basically, this is the night that legacies are made of. This is the night where our mayor and council, who approved this endeavor on first reading, take our city to new heights and really maximize our potential. So I'm hoping that in a nutshell, I've been able to cover everything that has happened to get us to this point tonight. And with that said, I want to turn over the comp plan portion of this to Ms. Jean Dolan, and afterwards the next step will be the zoning component that will be turned over to Natasha Alfonso.
Thank you. Thank you for that wonderful introduction. It's Jean Dolan with RMA. I'm going to give you a brief presentation on the comprehensive plan amendment, and we're going to cover just the public input process to date, the changes that have been made since your first reading, the next steps, and then the final timeline for this overall project. This is the long list of meetings that we've had and workshops and interactions to get this to this point. The last time you made a vote on the comprehensive plan was way back on January 20th. So since then, it's gone through the state review process and come back for final reading. We'll be doing the comp plan amendment first, and then we'll follow up with the zoning after that. So the state agencies had no objections to the plan amendments as submitted, so we're free to move forward with adoption. When we did the P&Z approval for the zoning, they did have one change to the zoning, which caused a change to be made in the comp plan to policy 1.8.8, and that is as follows. In the mixed-use employment center, there's a compatibility issue between the lower density residential development to the west and the mixed-use district to the east. The P&Z provided direction that we would provide for not only the one scenario, which required a 50-foot landscape buffer, but also another scenario that would allow residential townhomes or three-story, 35-foot tall apartment buildings next to that interface. In order to make that second scenario possible, we needed to change that policy 1.8.8 by eliminating the requirement for the 50-foot wide landscape buffer, just having the transitional area, the heights transition, dictated by the regulating plans. So that policy has been changed, and that's the only change that has been made since the first reading of the comprehensive plan. So the next steps to the plan amendment after this vote tonight, if you approve it, we will then take the state. We once again issue the comp plan as adopted to the state. They look at the change that was made between first and second reading, make sure that it's in compliance with the law. They issue a statement saying that the plan's found in compliance, and at that point, the amendments become effective. So the steps that happen next, today is obviously your second reading. Around May 1st or sooner, we'll get the statement from the state. They get 45 days. They rarely take that long because they didn't have any objections in the first place. So it's a very short review. So we should probably get that in a few weeks, but at the latest, it'll be May 1st. After that, the state will take the amendments, take out all the strike through and underline, make it a nice, clean document, codify it, just like the rest of your code, or comp plan, so it won't look any different. The same scenario with the zoning regulations, and Natasha will go over that later, but after the hearing for the comp plan, you will then be hearing the zoning. So we want to thank you very much for allowing us to be involved in this process. It has been a great experience for us, and it has been wonderful being part of this team. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Jean.
Thank you, Ms. Dolan. Oh, okay. So Natasha's on the the next ordinance, right?
The zoning.
Okay, got it. Okay, just make sure to keep that in order. Okay, let me. This is the second reading for the comprehensive plan amendments, and it's now because it came back from the state at this point.
That is correct.
Got it. Okay. All right. Let me go ahead and open the floor for anyone from the public that wishes to comment on this ordinance. On second and final reading, this is the ordinance that is the comprehensive plan changes. Is there anyone from the public? No? Okay, public comment closed on that. Okay. Any questions? Deus? No? Madam Clerk, roll call vote, please.
Councilman DeFilippo?
Yes.
Councilwoman Kramer?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Martell?
Yes.
Councilman Pierre?
Yes.
Councilwoman Smith?
Yes.
Councilwoman Spiegel?
Yes.
Mayor Vihel?
Yes.
The item passes on second reading, 7-0.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so now we have item 15-2. If we can get that one, a motion to introduce. Anybody?
Motion to introduce ordinance number 2015-5, second reading and final reading.
Second.
Second.
Mr. Smith?
An ordinance of the Mayor and City Council of the City of North Miami Beach, Florida, amending the Zoning and Land Development Code of the North Miami Beach Code of Ordinances by amending Chapter 24, North Miami Beach Zoning and Land Development Code, Article 5, Zoning Use Districts, Section 24-58, FCC Fulford City Center Mixed Use, to be deleted and replaced with Mixed Use MU Districts, Section 24-58.1, Purpose and Intent, to be amended and renamed Fulford Mixed Use Town Center District, MUTC. Section 24-58.2, Land Uses, to be deleted and replaced with Mixed Use Employment Center District, MUEC. Section 24-58.3, Site Design, to be deleted and replaced with Mixed Use Neighborhood Center District, MUNC. Section 24-58.4, Building Design, to be deleted and replaced with Arch Creek Mixed Use Quarter, MUC. Section 24-58.5, Supplemental Regulations, to be deleted and replaced with Southern Mixed Use Waterfront District, Southern MUWF. Section 24-58.6, Northern Mixed Use Waterfront District, Northern MUWF, to be added. And Section 24-58.7, Eastern Mixed Use Waterfront District, Eastern MUWF, to be added, creating certain mixed-use zoning categories, districts, and providing for district regulations and sub-area regulating plans, street network connectivity regulating plans, designated public open spaces and greenway system regulating plans, and building height regulating plans for each mixed-use district, amending the original zoning map referenced in Section 24-31 of the North Miami Beach Code of Ordinances to rezone certain property and apply the mixed-use zoning designations to those certain properties as provided for in the attached Exhibit A, providing for the repeal of all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict therewith, providing for severability, codification, and for an effective date.
Move to approve.
Second.
Mr. Smith, can we get you some water after that one?
I need some ice.
Okay. Madam Manager, I guess you already gave the explanation. So this is the ordinance. This is the one that deals with the zoning portion.
That's correct.
And Ms. Alfonso is going to explain the tweaks from last time, I guess, right?
That's correct.
Okay. Ms. Alfonso.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Mayor, members of the board. Natasha with RMA. As you said, tonight we're just going to go over what the changes were from first reading as they in regards to the zoning in particularly. After that, we're going to talk about the items, again, that need to be addressed after the zoning is passed. things that are still pending. We've talked about them before, and we need to reiterate them today, as well as the next steps, which Gina's already talked about, but as they relate to the zoning itself and the project timeline. In terms of the public input process, as the city manager has stated very clearly, as well as Gina in her presentation, we've had an extensive public input process, which was paralleled not only for the comp plan, but also for the zoning regulations as well. And obviously, we talked about the 7 different districts that we're creating, as Jose Smith has iterated in terms of the new districts that we're creating for the mixed-use areas within the city. In terms of the comments that we received after the first reading, there's a specific list of little things that we tweaked. Most of it is not substantive, is just basic general tweaks that we needed to do to the language to make sure that we've crossed our T's, dotted our I's from a legal standpoint. I'm going to run through them very briefly. The first change that we address in terms of the text is changing the term supplemental regulations to the applicable regulations. We found a little minor error that we needed to correct. We've added the term approximate for the location of the existing and required streets, so it's very similar to the existing and required open spaces. We've changed the term from use-specific standards to supplemental regulations, again referencing a specific section within the code today. That was just a minor error that we corrected. We've added a footnote to the building heights tables to basically allow more stories as long as permitted height is not exceeded and applicant demonstrated density is not exceeded as well. And that's something that applies to all of the mixed-use districts. So allowing, again, more floors within the overall maximum height that's permitted within each one of these districts. And that's really just added there for architectural flexibility and variation. We've added the term or the words where feasible for the requirement of the undergrounding of existing overhead utilities. Again, that's a language that we added within the MU, the General Code Standards, and that's typically to address specific overhead lines, like, for example, the FPL substation power lines that are difficult to underground. We wanted to make sure that we addressed it and that it wasn't something that we were requiring for all situations. We've specified in the language the minimum size requirement for new designated open spaces. To ensure that it was in the MU for the new ones, they had to be a minimum of 4,800 square feet. If you recall, we had that language within the table of the tax incentive increment rebate incentives. However, when we took the table out, because it's something that the CRA will adopt separately, we wanted to make sure that that language was in there so that we wouldn't omit the requirement of the 4,800 square foot minimum for the new designated open spaces. In the NC, in the neighborhood center, we just made a minor correction to the table. We removed the column for the edge sub-area because we didn't have an edge sub-area. In terms of the parking requirements for moving and transfer facilities, which includes self-storage facilities, this is really applicable only to the employment center. We added parking requirements for that particular use, again, to be more compatible with the city of Miami, which has those kinds of uses in a very urban setting. For the town center, the mixed-use town center, which is the Fulford City Center area, we added the requirements for primary B streets. That was just a minor little thing we needed to correct. And then in terms of making sure, and again, as we're going through the document and making sure we've dotted our I's and crossed our T's, we went through and made sure that all of our graphics and tables were consistent in terms of the intent for all of the regulations. So we corrected some minor inconsistencies there. We've clarified the language for the screening of the electrical substations, which applies primarily for the South Waterfront District as well as the East Waterfront District, to ensure that the language really says that it's really at the ground level. And then finally, we've made some minor regulating plan amendments or changes to the South Waterfront District, which I will go through in a minute, but that's only applicable to the South Waterfront District. So if you remember, the South Waterfront District is the area that's just north of 163rd Street, east of Biscayne Boulevard. It is the area adjacent to the Snake Creek Canal on the north. And one of the amendments that we did, really related to the regulating plans, had to do with various discussions that we had with the property owners and stakeholders of the site. And if you recall, at the first reading, we had some minor tweaks back then. We've since then met with the property owners and had some more discussion. And there were a couple of minor little things that we had to clarify within the regulating plans to address their concerns. Obviously, this affected all of the regulating plans, the street network connectivity, the open space, as well as the building heights plan in terms of the graphics, not in terms of the requirements, but in terms of the graphics. The concern was really the allocation or the location of the open spaces and where they need to be shown so that they are equitably distributed within the site, which we did that. So you can see that the street network was actually amended to reflect that as well. In addition to that, in terms of the open space requirement, we provided the green space again, same amount of green space, just in the location that made sense. One thing I'd like to clarify is that both of these property owners are really moving forward with their site plans at the moment, and so we're at a very important pivotal moment for them in order to be able to ensure that we all put in the elements that we think are important, not only for the property owners in terms of their investments and what they're expecting out of for their entitlements, but for the city in order to ensure that we still maintain that the quality of space that we're so fond of, that we believe is so important for this particular district, the public waterfront amenities with the promenade, and most importantly, that continuous physical and visual connection to the water, which is what we're doing with this open space regulating plan. So the intent of that and the heart and soul of that is still prominent in this little minor tweak. And obviously the Heights plan was amended in order to reflect that new pattern. Other than that, we did receive a couple of two minor little changes that you don't see in your presentation. We got this at the 11th hour Friday night, and your packages were already out there, but two requests were made. One was to ensure that, for example, in the mixed-use East Waterfront District, I know we've talked about this before, which is requiring that second access point off of 163rd Street. It's in the development approval conditions in the text. The only thing we did was to the regulating plan. If you choose to adopt this, the change would be to add a note to the actual regulating plan, and you can see it here in the form of an asterisk that says that along 163rd Street, there would be an additional access point required per section 02E, which is actually spelled under the approval conditions at the very end of the document. That's a very minor little change. The other change that we were requested to contemplate, and this is again for you all to determine if it's applicable or not, has to do with a general statement within the MU, within the mixed use. That's the general overriding document that applies to all of the districts equally, and that is for the requirement for the non-conforming clause that we have within the city's code. Right now, if a building is destroyed or repaired or renovated beyond 50% of the improvement of the value of the building, if the improvement is beyond 50% of the value of the building, they would have to comply with all of the new code regulations. There was a concern that there are certain buildings that are greater than in size, such as, for example, the Target shopping plaza on the south in the mixed-use corridor. It could be another property in any one of the districts that are greater than 100,000 square feet, and if they need to make substantial improvements to the building, but they're not ready to bring in the mixed-use component or additional uses to the site, that they would be able to do so without triggering a full compliance of the code in terms of the requirements of height and all of these other things that are required per the code. So this would only apply for large-scale buildings, existing large-scale buildings that are greater than 100,000 square feet. And this is something that we'd like for you to contemplate. In addition to that, we had last change to the MU, again, the general document that applies to all of the different districts. The last change had to do with parking garages and active use requirement. Did you need me to?
Quick question. The changes that are not in here, are those in this handout, or do we have them here?
No, I guess not.
Okay, because we need those. Can we get those, Madam Manager?
I can give them to you now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Can we make copies of that?
This is the last page. Yes.
Okay.
So let me just burn it, and then because I gotta get off the screen. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna save it on the front. Okay.
She's going to burn them both, right?
They're asking us to approve that we haven't seen.
Well, there's two.
Okay.
Lubac one,
And then
There's the one was the asterisk note to the plan MUEC, right? And then this page right now that
right
is.
And then the page before it.
Which is your?
Oh.
We got that.
All right, give me a minute. It's stuck. Yeah, wait. All right. Lexar.
While they're doing that, Mr. Mayor, will you recognize the Honorable Ron Silver in the House?
He snuck in through the back. Former Senator Ron Silver. Ron,
All right.
you made it straight from Tallahassee to come here. Now we feel special. So you really went the long way. Thank you so much for after that trip. I know it's not all that fun, but we'll entertain you tonight.
Mr. Mayor, those copies are on their way.
Okay, you
Should
want to
Continue?
go ahead and continue. We'll have them when we.
And we'll come back when you have it in front of you. The last change for the MU has to do with the active use requirement for parking structures. If you look at the language that's highlighted in red on the screen, basically there's a minimum of 20 feet of habitable space or active use that's required along every level in order to screen a garage so that you don't have ugly uses that are visible to the street. One of the suggestions that was made was to, again, right now the way the code is written, the director of the Community Development Services Department has the ability to waive it in certain locations in order to make the building more feasible. What we're suggesting is that the Community Development Director has the ability to waive it in any case above the second floor, because in certain cases it's very difficult to line every level of the garage above the second floor. We would still require it on the ground level. But the only way to do so is if they treat the design of the building with those requirements that you see here in number 1 and 2. So in order for that to be waived, the requirement of the active use along every level above the ground floor, meaning the ground floor is still required to have active use because that's where you have the pedestrian connectivity and walkability and all of that. But above the second floor, the only way for the director to be able to waive that would be if the applicant demonstrates that the architectural elements that face the street or that publicly accessible open space or greenway has to appear consistent and harmonious with that of the active use or that of the habitable space. They can't just design it with an open structure. They have to design it consistently architecturally. Secondly, none of the vehicles, again, that requirement still stays. None of the vehicles can be visible from the street. So they have to screen them.
Right. So okay. So this has to do mostly with what are parking structures in essence, right?
Only for parking structures,
right.
yes.
So that they're not going to be ugly like the parking lot you see at the airport. It
Correct.
It'll look like part of the building in all cases.
That's correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Just want to make sure that's clear. Got it.
Yes. Okay, and then in terms of the items that we talked about at first reading that need to be addressed after this is passed, this list has not changed. The CRA needs to adopt through a resolution the tax increment rebate incentives, which you have looked at in the past. For all of the mixed-use districts, we also need to adopt through resolution we have to establish the funds and we have to adopt what the fee is for each one of these assessments that we've created for the tax increment rebate options in the CRA areas. We need to establish a cost recovery, particularly for all of the site plan review time that it will take to review site plans, and that in terms of the professionals that need to be involved now that we're applying the new regulations. In addition to that, we need to establish a system for the vacation of the right-of-ways and air rights easements. Again, bringing you back to that concept that we talked about in the town center, particularly where you've got alleyways that sometimes could be vacated for the purposes of assembling larger parcels for greater site utilization. In addition to that, we have the Highland Village Heights, the text amendment that will take place in the specific zoning district for that area. And then lastly, the cafe ordinance, in order to have a mechanism to encourage the sidewalk cafes and things of that nature. And then in terms of the next steps, once the council agrees to the changes and votes on these changes, we will go back, make any final amendments per the changes that will be agreed on and voted on today. Then staff will actually prepare the document for codification and take it to the right agency to get it codified. And then the amendments will become effective after that. In terms of the process for the project timeline, again, as Jean said, we're on the same track with the comp plan. We could have these amendments become effective as of May 1st or sooner, depending on how long it takes to actually codify the document. And with that, I thank you again for all the support.
Okay, great, thank you. Can I just ask you a quick question? If you were to back up, well, the last slide before the the second to last slide, the one that said those last, some of those I guess I don't want to say housekeeping items, but these items, I don't see dates next to them, and these are in our control here. These don't involve the state or anything, right?
That's correct.
Right,
yeah.
so this is stuff, have you guys already, or is there anything that's already advanced on this? About how long will that portion take, what's there on that slide?
We're preparing to bring the CRA, the requirements.
Well, the CRA one is worked out already, right? That's
Yes.
just a housekeeping detail of actually getting the CRA to pass.
Correct.
The matching resolution.
So
but some of the other items, like we have to establish funds, we have to discuss fees, we have to create, I guess you have to create a right-of-way ordinance. Is that what that is? So is this like another couple of months of these details? Is that realistic, or?
I'm not sure.
I would say we really need to get started on the fees, the funds, because that's going to be required.
When people bring projects.
Right. I know the cost recovery will take a little time to draft between us and the city attorney, but we'd like to get that done. The Highland Village Heights, that's a pretty simplistic amendment. We can have that back turned around. The vacation of rights away and air rights easement. I just wanted to add that we're also, that is somewhat related to that issue of the swales throughout the city, and that's also.
Oh, really?
Well, if it's
Okay.
a vacation of right-of-way, it's the same thing. So we'll try to combine that into that. And a cafe ordinance as soon as possible.
Right. I didn't mean to put you on the spot exactly. I'm just trying to, I see, 6 or 7 items there that, are they a next meeting item, or are they, 4 meetings down the road item, type of thing. Anyway, okay, thank you. Thank you, Ms. Alfonso. Let me go ahead and see if there's anyone. Let me open up the floor for public comment. If there's anyone from the floor that wishes to address the council on this ordinance on second reading.
Good evening. My name is Fortuna Smuckler, 3207 Northeast 168th Street. Unfortunately, many people don't know that when these meetings are held or what these meetings are about because they don't look in the newspaper, they don't look online. I try to inform the residents of Eastern Shores when there's something going on. Unfortunately, I've been very busy in the last few days, and I didn't get an email out until this afternoon. It was late this afternoon. And I did receive responses from people that said it was too late for them to come, too late for them to make it, but asked me to speak for them. They are concerned that 2,000 residential units in the Intercoastal Mall is too much. They also are concerned that there is not enough parking, and I know that you all, or I don't mean you all, people, some of you feel that people will be walking from Biscayne Boulevard, but I've crossed Biscayne Boulevard walking, I've crossed it on bicycle. It's dangerous. People are not going to be coming from other areas by bike or walking. If they're going to come and shop there, if they're going to come visit their friends, it's going to be by car. So I ask that you really take a good look at what you're going to be doing to the Intercoastal Mall, because it's not what the people, it's not what the residents have told me. I don't know if they've reached out to you, but they've reached out to me. And I went to the town hall meeting. I got there late. There was a town hall meeting about this. I got there late. When I got there, everyone was like, no, we don't want this, we don't want this, we don't want this. So please listen to the people. That's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to listen to the people. And at that town hall meeting, people did not want the extra traffic that this project of possibly 2,000 residential units could bring. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Go ahead, I got it. Iona Lunger. Again, I'm going to wear 2 hats, one for the community and one for the Chamber of Commerce. 1870 Northeast 171 Street, North Miami Beach, Florida. I'm not going to elaborate about what you guys are doing. I want to thank each and every one of you, from the city manager, city attorney, everybody else, for taking 1950s and 40s into 2015. Everybody sees what's going on, from the colors of the walls to the colors of inside. Beautiful colors in the city. City is moving forward. We can now fit in between Sunny Isles, Bell Harbor, and Aventura. And I could proudly say we have a great city, a city that cares. It's beautiful. Keep up the good work. This zoning, for the Chamber of Commerce, we've had a lot of businesses join. Just yesterday alone, in history, we haven't had that. People call us up. We got 2 members just literally saying, I want to join your city. I couldn't believe it. Our president of the Chamber of Commerce is sitting right up there, Mr. Anthony DeFilippo. You've done last year an amazing job with the Chamber. This year, too, thank you on behalf of the businesses, and Mayor and Council for attending at all of our events, and City Manager and everybody else here, and City Clerk, Council, everybody else. I thank you very much for supporting the Chamber, and the Chamber supporting further, and the businesses, thank you, and look forward. We need to see this neighborhood safe, and the colors will shine. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Alan Mackin, 17071 West Dixie Highway. As a stakeholder, I want to reiterate what the city manager said. At every step, we were counseled, we were considered. I think the city's done a fantastic job. From the moment this was considered, I think it's been inspirational. I've been in the city a long time, and I have to tell you, it's been a pleasure to watch this in action. I applaud each and every one of you. I know this has not been simple. Tonight, we're not really approving a project, we're approving a comp plan. It's a big thing. It's going to take our city into a new generation. This is going to last for a long time. You use the word legacy. In a lot of ways, I think that's the truth. I'm proud, in some small way, to have acted as a catalyst, getting this off the ground, and I applaud each and every one of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mackin. Anyone else? I see. Here. Here you go. You can come up. You got up first. Come on. Come on. Come on, man.
Name and address for the record.
Hi, everyone. My name is Felicity Tinney Wilson. I represent Miami Wine Exchange at 16310 West Dixie Highway. It's a new business, a new wine retail lounge bar. And we actually found out about this project. We're new residents to Florida. We're excited to be here. We're not moving back to New York City. So we found out about this purely by accident, by talking to one of our customers, and my husband said, you'd better go down there and find out what's going on. And so we're just, my question is, and it doesn't seem like I looked at the plans, I'm trying to read through everything, I'm not sure that it affects North Miami Beach Plaza. I'm not sure if it's included in the plans, or is it just going to be the recipient of what's happening? So I'm just here.
Well, I would say, first of all, Ms. Wilson, right?
Tinney Wilson.
Welcome. Welcome. We're happy to have you here from New York. Normally we don't do a question and answer session, but since it's a really simple question, can you guys address that? Which plaza is that? And we can just give the answer real quick.
North Miami Beach Plaza, it's 16310. It's within where the FedEx is, where the Iron Sushi is.
Oh, the building on West Dixie. Yes, absolutely. Yes, yes.
Across from the gas.
Well, yes, that is in one of those areas. Absolutely.
Okay. I understand that was not part of the project.
So give me the quadrants. Is it on the southwest, northeast?
Northwest corner of 163 in West Dixie.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So I think,
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, if I
Yes.
could just for 1 second ask one question.
Sure, go ahead.
And just let me say one statement. It affects the building owner that he has additional rights after this passes as a tenant in that building, or even if you're a holder in it. It really isn't going to change much for you, but it changes people that own property along those corridors.
Got it.
They get additional rights.
Right. They have some more options, is what it's doing.
Can I,
All set? Or?
Can I ask?
Yeah,
Was your
go ahead.
question, is it going to impact you in the immediate future, or is there a possibility that you would reap the benefits later?
No, my question was, I didn't understand whether it was included in the project and the new builds and things of that.
Sure.
I understand the rest, which is the question you asked.
It is. Thank you, Ms. Wilson.
Thank you.
Welcome,
Welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, Stanley Price, 1450 Brickell Avenue. I want to reiterate what I had said to you at the last meeting. It is a remarkable job. It's a job that I did not think would be completed within the time frame that you set out. I thought it was very optimistic. Then again, I've been practicing in front of the city for 35 years. I want to thank the staff. The staff has been receptive. We haven't agreed on everything, and I'm married, so I'm used to that. But I have entree, and they listen. They give us their best consideration of the request, but they're approachable, and that's a very important element. And you should be very proud of that with your staff. This is a very interesting progression. I will tell you that the beauty of your system and the real success of your system is not what you do here today. This is the building blocks. But it's a site plan approval process where everyone will have a full opportunity to determine whether the heights are compatible, whether the parking is sufficient, whether the traffic ways and the roadways and the landscaping is sufficient. That is the true test of this plan, and I think they've done an excellent job. I was asked a question by Councilperson Spiegel at the last meeting, do I understand what this is about? Unfortunately, the answer is yes, I do, but I will tell you that it really sets a framework that if you come into the city, you know what the rules are, you know you're going to have to live by the rules, and I think you're going to see quality projects in the years ahead. And I thank everybody.
Thank you, Mr. Price. 15 minutes reserved for the gentleman from North Miami Beach.
In the green shirt.
Thank you very much.
Hello.
Hi.
Name and address for the record, please.
Okay. Ron Silver, 2031 Northeast 209th Street. Okay. Anything else you want to know? Okay. Listen, I got to tell you, I made it back. At 7:30, we landed on the plane, and I wanted to be here because I grew up in this city. This is wonderful. I remember what the city was like at one time, and I've been close to all the city councils before and all that stuff. But I just got to tell you, you all have done a fantastic job in cooperation with the city staff, the city manager, the city attorney, even the city attorney. This is fantastic. Oh, are there going to be disagreements? Sure. Okay, there are sure going to be disagreements. And as Mr. Price said, I haven't been able to follow Mr. Price for many years now. And it's really an honor and a privilege to do so. But he's fantastic, and what he said is exactly right. There's going to be opportunities as far as the traffic is concerned and all the other items to address those situations as far as the height of the buildings and all that. We're still going to have an opportunity to do so. I mean, you don't have to be a genius to figure out the traffic's a problem, in this whole area. It took me 45 minutes to go 6 blocks on US 1 in Aventura the other day. I was not a happy camper, okay? But we're working up in the state. Senator Latvala, my close friend, is chairman of Transportation Appropriations, and we're trying to work with him to get some solutions all over the state. It's just not here. It's happening everywhere. But this is historic for this city. And, I just got to tell you, we're going to have first-class facilities here now. And I was here when there was no Aventura. I was here when there was no Sunny Isles Beach, okay? And our city was the one that was, represented as a place to be and a place to live. And I know, Ms. Kramer, who is not as old as I am, obviously, is shaking her head. But, you know, we used to go to the 163rd Street Mall for all the kids' stuff. There used to be Wolfies. There used to be, what do you call it? Huh?
Coney Island.
Coney Island, yeah, Coney Island, yeah. And what's the name of the delicatessen by...
Corky's.
Corky's, yeah. How can I forget that? As a kid in high school, we used to go there, and Seymour would get upset with us because we played our guitar there and we sang songs and all those wonderful things. But, you know, as I've told you many times, I used to, when I was 16, 17 years old, I was attending city council meetings.
15 seconds.
Other guys were chasing girls, and I figured, you know, my time will come sometime, but I'd rather go to the city council meetings, okay? So, you know, and, you know, something came along, and I got married, and, you know, that's all.
Time.
Before I get into that. Anyway, I applaud you. As Mr. Price said, this is not easy, okay? Other places have tried to do it and failed. We've even tried on some occasions to do something. You have succeeded. I congratulate you, and I look forward to working with you in any way I can to help you achieve the objectives that you have. Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much. Senator Silver, thank you for those comments. You have a long history in our city and in our area, so we really value your comments. Thank you very much. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
And I applaud the sense of humor.
Good evening.
Absolutely.
My name is Robert Aristide. I'm sorry. I am here just not to complain, but just to thank you all for the wonderful job you all have done. And I've been living on 172nd Street in North Miami Beach for the past 20 years. And I've had a wonderful time, my wife and I, and we always reserve some time to thank you all personally. And recently, I have to tell you that we had two incidents that happened on 173rd Street, in the back of my house. But I didn't pay attention to that. But just this morning, I realized that there was a shooting back there that resulted in a death. And there was two killings back there. And also, I just found out this morning that when the killing took place, whoever shot that person used the back of my house, which is the fence. And I just happened to saw it about 2 hours ago. Yeah, they broke it. I didn't pay attention because I wasn't there. I just got back last night. I went to Haiti for about 2 months. And I just realized that today. And I said, well, let me say that to the councilman meeting. And I want the city of Miami Beach to pay attention to some of the people because I didn't have that. It's 20 years. I've never had this kind of problem. We have never had no shooting back there, nothing, you know. But, hey, recently we had two. I want to know what's going on. And I called on the police department about this. They say, yeah, we're going to look to that, we're going to look to that. But I hope this doesn't happen no more. Please, just do something about it. Because I'm really a concerned citizen, you know. I'm growing up, I'm growing old, and I want to spend all my time, you know, in that neighborhood because I bought my house 20 years ago, and I had a wonderful time. I still do, but I'm concerned back there on the 73rd Street. It is really getting too quiet, and I don't understand what's going on. But anyway, just pay attention to that.
Well, thank you. If you would please, do you have a minute? If you would just get together, I'd like to make sure we get that information with our city manager so that we can connect you with our police department. We want to make sure we have all that information and that we communicate better with you and make sure that that situation is handled. Okay? Could you see them, please?
Sure.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Mr. Toiler, are you coming up? Yep.
Mr. Mayor, councilors, can I ask you a favor, please? Will you please convey...
Excuse me, sir. I need your name and address for the record, please. Your name and address.
Beg your pardon?
Your name and your address.
I beg your pardon. My name is Blessington Tolroy from 1350 Northeast 160 Street, North Miami Beach, Florida, 33162. I'm asking you, Mr. Mayor and councillors, will you please convey our regards and best wishes, love and respect to all our police officers, not only in North Miami Beach, but other districts, and, if possible, the entire country, please. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Toiler. We will make sure to pass that along.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Anyone else? Going once, going twice? Sold. Okay, public comments closed. Let me come to the dais if anyone has any comments, questions. Right here. Start here.
Well, Senator Silver literally took the words out of my mouth. You know, I say this all the time when we speak about the city and what our city was and, you know, what our city could be. And certainly, as Senator Silver said, I grew up here, so I do remember the times when we were the place to be, when there was no Aventura shadowing over us with all great restaurants, places to live, places to shop, and Sunny Isles Beach as well, which is a fantastic walking, very busy community, but it's all walking to wherever you want to go in that vicinity. It's all very easy. My son, unfortunately, but luckily for us it's close by, crosses the bridge almost every single day to go skating at their skate park. And that's a whole nother story because it amazes him, he said, that in all of Miami-Dade County, he doesn't know of a free skate park. But if anyone knows differently, let us know. I jotted down some things that I wrote back in 2009 at my campaign kickoff. And I just wanted to read some of this because it's amazing to me that it took 6 years, almost 6 years in office in May. It's taken this long to get where we are. But one of the things that I had mentioned to all of my supporters that evening, I had said, I remember the good old days of a thriving 163rd Street Mall, Wolfie's Restaurant, and hanging out at Reynolds Park. At least Reynolds Park is still here, and it always will be. Now we need to bring back a successful shopping experience, more great restaurants, and build a city that will withstand the test of time. Who can visualize the rebirth of North Miami Beach as a community with significantly less crime, new places to live and work, and protected green spaces for our families to enjoy? I plan on working towards these goals. Took 6 years to even get to this part of implementation. So the goals I know will be realized as we continue with a great staff. I mean, when I started back in 2009, we were lacking a lot in this city, and that's why I chose to run, because we were flatlined, basically, for all intents and purposes. And now that we've cultivated, for the most part, a great council, a fantastic staff, you know, just the employees, it's just showing how much we're moving forward, and I really look forward to it. And I can't thank RMA enough. You know, yes to Mr. Lorbert, yes to our city manager and our city attorney and everybody, and of course, Carlos and everybody involved, but especially to pick RMA to move us forward. It's very exciting for me to finally see, you know, everything that I always hope for to becoming a reality. So I'm very excited. I think the residents here should be really excited because we're going to be a very moving and grooving city quite soon.
Thank you.
Okay, Councilwoman Smith.
Thank you. I want to address for just a minute the public that's listening, the shareholders that own property where we're talking about the rezoning, and to the residents that came here tonight to express their concerns and express their opinion. I have gotten a lot of calls this week, and I too, actually I came to this city before there was a 163rd Street shopping center. I watched it be built, and enjoyed all the things that you talked about, Senator, and my colleague talked about. But again, I have to say it one more time. When we sit stagnant, the cost to be here doesn't sit stagnant. It costs every year more money to run this city. We're not talking about maintenance. We're not talking about upgrading. Everybody knows I sell real estate. So you could buy a shell of a house and it's this cost, or you could buy the one across the street that's more money, that has the window treatments, that has the ceiling fans, that has the swimming pool, that has the upgrades. We've allowed this city to sit, and many of the places are almost in decay, for too long. So I'm addressing it for the last time, hopefully, to let you understand that we hear you. You bought this city, and you wanted to live in this city, and you don't want the traffic. My colleague talks about the traffic all the time. But the truth is, we're sitting in traffic whether we like it or not. I went from 163rd Street to 209th, and it took me an hour and 10 minutes. I went from Eastern Shores Bridge down to Ron Book's daughter's beautiful book signing, and it took me 45 minutes to go through Sunny Isles. So do you understand, as a public out there, that we are sitting in that traffic with none of the benefits? So when you talk about the traffic, welcome to Atlanta 101. That's what it is when you live in a municipality that has a place where everybody wants to live and invest their dollar. I wanted to take this time, Mr. Mayor, and my fellow colleagues, thank you for your indulgence, because some of the phone calls and some of the comments, even though I understand, and I'm sure my colleagues do as well, you have to understand the other side of the picture. You as a resident deserve to have a beautiful park. You as a resident deserve to have pipes that don't break. You as a resident deserve for your children to have a computer after school so that they could advance. And we cannot, as a municipality, take our city and our residents of that city to a wonderful place to live without revenue coming in. So I'm going to take one more minute to explain where this is changing is where the commercial areas are. If you live in Ulita, if you live in Washington Park, if you live in the Sunray area, the Windward area, the Pickwick area, the Skylake area, the effects you're going to have is what you have now, more traffic. But the benefits are going to be for the entire city because this is really where the commercial property is. And that commercial property has guidelines. It's not just a blanket brush. It doesn't just say you can build 40 stories, you can build 30 stories. No. I got a call about whether or not you could have a drive-in restaurant in Eastern Shores. Oh, you could in the Intercoastal Mall. As long as it's in the building that you have to drive like you do in a bank, not outside the building that we have to worry about trash. And guess what? You can't just automatically have it. It's conditional. It's a big C, conditional. So when you really study this, and I'm not an engineer, I thank our professionals, I thank our staff, I go with their guidelines, I went with the questions that the public had and the questions I had. To the best of our ability, or at least the best of my ability, when you see the benefits and how they far outweigh the negative, and I hope each and every one of you live the 10 or 15 years it's going to take. I hope I'm here and somebody yells in my ear, are you looking, Phyllis? Are you looking what you created? I hope you live a long, healthy life to enjoy the benefits that this is the beginning of. And I thank each and every one of you for coming, for paying attention, and for your patience. And to my colleagues, thank you for allowing me the time.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Martel?
Natasha, I actually really just wanted some clarification on something that you mentioned. When you were mentioning the changes, you also mentioned the 50%, which is the substantial damage, substantial improvement rule. Now, in doing that, you're talking about the aspect of zoning, correct? Not the aspect of construction.
I'm not sure I understand the question.
Okay.
Yeah, the zoning regulation is, for the building code, what triggers it is the 50%.
Right. That's what I'm trying to say, that we're not waiving the building code in what you're saying with the...
No.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify that, because when you said the 50%, I understand that that has to do with the building code and floodplain.
She's right. She's right.
Barbara's favorite word, that's how we met, a discussion on floodplain, but that's where that area comes from. So I was just clarifying that that section, we weren't going to waive that.
No.
Okay, thank you very much.
Nor could we, because the Florida Building Code is a state law.
Right.
So we still have to comply with that requirement.
Anybody else? Oh, Councilwoman.
Okay, I want to preface what I'm going to do by saying that, yes, I mean, I started talking 3 administrations ago about zoning overlay districts, about what it would take to change, to bring our city into the 21st century and beyond. And it's taken a lot of work. But I want to, and I'm going to do this by a series of motions, and we'll see if there's anybody interested. I want to move to amend the building heights in the FCC MU. It says TC6, because it is... I don't know what page I'm on. I just kept pulling pages. And that was, Mr. Price, I asked you if you could read this gobbledygook, because those of us who are not planners, developers, or planning attorneys, it's gobbledygook. And so I just wanted to make sure it made sense to the professionals. But I drove Hanford Boulevard this weekend. I drove it again yesterday. And Hanford Boulevard, under this plan, goes from 30 stories at one end to 20 stories. And Hanford Boulevard is one lane east, one lane west. It ends where our library is, and we just approved a 20-year deal to have a soccer academy there. And I don't think those heights are compatible. So I'm going to make a motion that for FCC MU, and it says TC6, that the maximum heights be reduced by at least 20%.
Okay. No, I don't hear a second, so that motion fails for lack of a second.
Okay, the next thing that, I guess that was actually section J, it would have been page 55. The next thing that very much concerns me, and it's because I want businesses to succeed, not to fail, has to do with the waterfront districts east of US 1. Those are the waterfront
South, north, and east.
North and south.
And
when I met with our staff and I met with Natasha and I gave them the example of if we had a 5,000 square foot restaurant and I put 2,000 square feet in the back for kitchen and prep, and there was 3,000 square feet of restaurant space, I was told that that would be 55 tables. 55 tables in 3,000 square feet, we're only requiring 6 parking spaces. And we're telling people a maximum of 12 parking spaces, because it says 2 parking spaces per 1,000 square feet and a maximum of 4 parking spaces for 1,000 square feet. And what I don't want to do is have businesses fail because people who say, oh, gee, we want to go to that restaurant and we want to go shopping there and it looks like such a great area, and they get there and they can't park. And so I want to make a motion to amend the parking requirements so that, and I don't know how to do this, and truthfully, I'm going to confess to my fellow council members, because I was told that people will walk, people will bicycle, there's going to be an urban transportation center there, and when I said, but Biscayne Boulevard is 10 lanes wide, people are not going to be crossing Biscayne Boulevard to walk there, I got no feedback. So I want to make a motion that we change the required number of parking spaces to at least double what is in here so that we can enable businesses and restaurants to accommodate patrons who are going to drive there, because we all live in South Florida and we know the people are going to drive to those areas.
I'll second that for discussion.
Okay, we have a motion to amend. I'm not sure what was the exact, did you find the exact table or wherever that was? Well, what?
It's in all of the districts.
In all of the districts, okay. We have a motion and a second. Can we get what the actual explanation is, can you explain to us so that we can be informed what the actual numbers are, what the rationale is, what the professional judgment is, why it's written the way it is? I mean, I'm assuming there's some justification why you wrote it that way. Yes. If you would explain that to us, and then we'll be a little bit better prepared to debate it.
It would be helpful, I think, if you refer to the MUNWF, page 18, so that you can see where I'm citing the text from, because it's consistent, the same for all of the districts. What we have done, and before you get to that page, I'll give a little bit of the background and how we got
What was the page again? I'm sorry?
Yeah, MUNWF 18. That's just an example.
One moment. Okay, NWF. Okay, I'm getting there, pardon me. Okay, wait, almost there. Okay, I got it.
Okay. Okay, so just to give you a little bit of a background in terms of how we got to this, we've researched, we've analyzed a lot of working, very successful mixed-use districts, city centers, downtowns, and the examples that we've used, for example, the first one that we've used on the northern end is the West Palm Beach downtown CRA area. This is an area that if you go there today and you look at the development that's booming and bringing and coming in, it's an area that has a lot of foot traffic, didn't used to have that foot traffic, has an incredible city center atmosphere with a lot of retail, restaurants, shops, and a lot of living that's coming as a factor of the mixed-use environment. Also the all aboard with the transit that's coming into the area. The city has invested quite a bit of money on providing additional transit that's not just public. There's local trolleys, there's a whole system in place. One of the things that they put into their code, and this is really an example of that, the same way we looked at, for example, the parking requirement for the storage facilities in the city of Miami, because it's an urban area, we've done that with other components of the code. We've looked at examples of leading cities. The reason they provided a minimum and a max that it's so low for these uses is, again, to minimize the traffic that comes into the area because of the residential component that it's supporting those uses on a foot level. When you refer to your example of the 5,000 square feet, if you look at the code requirement, what it basically says is there is a minimum of 2 per 1,000 and a maximum of 4 per 1,000. And this is for the whole, not just the eating component, not just the area that's specific to the eating area. It's not just for the customer service area is the actual term. It is for the entire size of the facility. So in a situation where, let's say, the entire restaurant was 5,000 square feet, there would be a maximum of 20 spaces that would be required. Not 6. There would be 5. There would be 20 because it's 4 per 1,000. But again, we're looking at the overall max size of the facility. And the intent of that is to, again, encourage more walkability, discourage, actually have less cars. Because when parking is a premium, people will get there in other ways. The city will invest in the infrastructure that's needed to get people walking in the streets, and it will alleviate the parking and the traffic issues that you see already congested in our roadways. This is another attempt in those specific uses. This is not for every non-commercial use. This is only for restaurants and retail, where we're trying to create an environment that has less auto uses.
Okay, let me see if. So, in other words, go ahead. Let's see.
I have a question for her question.
Yeah, go ahead.
I just have a question. So when you say minimum and maximum, who determines which?
The property owner, the developer, will determine what they want to provide.
But does the council at the time have, if they provide 10 spaces on that same 5,000 example, does the property owner have the right, does the council, whoever may be up here, have the right to say, I know that's your wish, but we would like 17? We'd like 18?
Yeah, of course, because the minimum and the max. So the council does have the right to say, we want you to apply the max, not the min.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead.
What about street parking that isn't necessarily associated with the restaurant? Wouldn't that be typical, because you never count on that, I would assume?
But we do. We have actually amended the parking section of your code.
Mm-hmm.
We still apply your parking section, but however, we've created certain amendments, modifications within each one of these, where we actually allow on-street parking to count. If they develop it, if they improve it. So we do allow for things like that. We also allow for off-site parking. The idea is to encourage property owners, restaurants, to utilize valet systems where they can park off-site. We've actually expanded the distance. We've gone from, and I forget what the number is, but we've gone all the way up to a quarter mile of a distance, that if a restaurant wants to do 100% of their parking requirement off-site, they can do that, which the code does not permit it today. And they could do it off-site as a valet. That encourages people to walk and discourages more cars within the area that you want people to walk in.
It's 1,300 feet, I believe, that
Yes.
can serve as an accessory parking to the business.
Yes.
So they could have zero parking
Okay.
in the grounds?
Wait, let me give somebody else a shot, and we'll come back
I
around.
understand what she's saying for this point?
Yes. They wanted me to address one other thing regarding that, which has to do with the shared parking. The city already has a shared parking methodology whereby if you combine uses, and obviously this applies to uses that are, let's say, nocturnal versus daytime uses. So if you have a restaurant, which is a night use, and you have an office facility, there's a shared parking methodology that you can utilize in order to actually offset the issues with parking. So there's all kinds of incentives and all kinds of programs that we put in place in order to allow people to provide the parking in other areas.
Okay. Let me go. Did you have a question, Councilman? or
Well,
no?
I
saw
just
some
wanted
movement.
to interject like everybody else had a chance.
Okay, go ahead, and
if I
we'll
may.
keep going around. over here.
Now that you're talking about this topic, Natasha, I just would like to reiterate to our residents and those that are here today present that, we are now in the 21st century, and as things progress in different cities, different atmospheres change, and the way that you're probably used to shopping or doing things in other things with new ways and new trends coming in will make this much more pleasurable. If you look at some of these, if you look at Midtown, okay, Midtown, I mean, it's like Councilwoman Kramer said, there's parking on the curb. All this new infrastructure that's being put into place, all this new building. If you go to Brickell, you see how the parking is there. If you go to Key Biscayne, if you go to many of the areas that are in this city, this new trend of one place of parking and then walking to where you're going, this is all the newest way of building. This is what's coming down the pike. So and being the healthy city that we are, in promoting walking and encouraging people to move around in our community, truly this is a remarkable moment in the history of North Miami Beach as we finally land this plane and make this legacy a reality for years to come. And I believe that today is the day that the residents of North Miami Beach get their fair share of what's going to happen in this city and the transformation that's going to happen in their communities and in every sector of North Miami Beach. As sitting president of the Chamber of Commerce for many years, I can tell you from hearing from local businesses and seeing what's going on with our economic growth, this is going to make a tremendous impact on the city of North Miami Beach. So the work that has been done here for months and months and months that our staff has put in, that RMA has put in, folks, this is your reward. This is what the city is going to get. We have prepared the grounds. We have planted and fertilized the grounds to see North Miami Beach move forward. And this is what you're going to see in the years to come. And this is why this is a responsible, comprehensive and zoning plan that's being passed before us today. And I hope that all of us stand behind it. And I thank the administration and everybody that took part in it and residents of the city. This is for you.
Okay, thank you, Councilman. Let me, remember, we're going to limit our comments this second to just this narrow issue of the doubling this parking in this particular table, and because we're still going to come back to the bigger issue. So we just got to get through this issue right now. So
Real quickly, I'm a 2-second person to just explain how I feel and move on. I do understand where Councilwoman Spiegel's coming from. I completely do. But I'll be honest, we've dissected this as much as it's going to be dissected, and I think that we have consultants, and we've hired consultants to give us their expertise. This is what they've provided, and I'm going to stick with what has been handed to me, what has been looked at, and what the professionals feel that this is the best product that we could bring forth for our city. And with that being said, I want to leave everything as is. That's how I feel about it. I think that I'm not a land developer and don't want to become one, but I do understand this, and I do believe that you've done an amazing job, and I don't want to change a thing.
okay, thank you. Anything, Councilman? No? Okay. I know you want to come a second. Let me just comment on this. I understand some of the comments, and I agree with Councilwoman Martel. Let me ask you a question, Natasha. I'm under the impression that, for example, we obviously are providing parking. What we're providing in this code is a flexibility in how the parking is structured.
Correct.
Okay. If we're going to sit up here and go through page by page, I'm not a planner, and last time I checked, no one of the council is a planner or an architect or a traffic engineer or anything of the sort. So I don't think I'm not going to substitute our judgment, I guess, or my judgment on something so technical. I'm just going to ask a simple question. I know that you've been involved, Ms. Dolan's been involved, Mr. Rivero back there, I know you're back there, you've been involved in this, you're a planner, Mr. Lober, you're a planner, and Madam Manager,
I've been around.
These people, all these folks work for you, so I just want to ask everybody a simple yes or no question. Is this your recommendation to us as your best professional recommendation, yes or no?
Yes, but can I explain?
Yes, Carlos?
Ms. Dolan, yes? Mr. Lober? Ms. Manager?
Yes.
Okay. You wanted to say something? Or?
No, I just want to add, this is only for the on-site requirements. Because we're making the off-site such a tool, again, it doesn't preclude somebody from adding parking on off-sites. This actually encourages more of a mixed use.
And the last thing that I want to say is if someone, see, we had a conversation one time in the past about this, and I tend to believe that in a lot of ways, sometimes government gets in the way of folks actually being able to do what they need to do. I think that somebody who's building a building or building a shop or building a shopping center generally knows what he needs to do in order to make it successful, because if it's not successful, then his tenants go out of business and his property goes into, it doesn't work out. So I don't want to substitute our thinking on this or anecdotal feelings or whatever it is. So I'm in support of the plan the way it's written. Yeah, Councilwoman Smith.
I just want to say one thing. When you go to New York City, I have a friend. I won't tell you what his net worth is because I can't count that high. But that's what he has in New York City, parking garages. That's what he has. Somebody could take their piece of property and make a parking garage. Yep. And, there you go.
They can't, not under these zoning regulations.
We could.
All right. Okay, anyway, let me go ahead and get back to Councilman Spiegel.
I'm done. Right. It's clear.
Okay.
All the questions clear.
Okay, all right. It was moved and seconded on the issue of doubling the required parking for MU and NWF. On the yes means you want to double. Oh, I'm sorry, on all the waterfront east of US 1 districts. So everybody got that straight? If you vote yes, you want to double it, change it from here. If you vote no, you're saying to just leave it the way it is. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, was that one? Okay. All opposed, say no.
No.
No. Okay, the noes have it. So continue on, Council.
Okay. This was a change that was made between the first reading and the second reading, and I was told by management that it's not a significant change, but it's SMUWF-6, and it appears in the Eastern Shores one also, that the screening of the FP&L substations only has to be from the ground floors. Are we saying basically we don't care about tenants or unit owners who buy on the second floor, the third floor, that there's no requirement to screen or make it pretty if the substation stays there?
Can you clarify what? Because that was one of the ones on the items on the change.
Yes, that's correct. We've had feedback from property owners, stakeholders. They're concerned that basically if you're abutting the station and the substation is X number of feet high. Right now we have a greenway that's required along the western edge of the substation, which is 80 feet wide in width. It requires a sidewalk, and another green immediately adjacent to it, in addition to a 10-foot wall. Then there's a road and additional sidewalk space on the west side. So it's an overall 80-foot right-of-way requirement. We heard from the property owners and the stakeholders that they felt that even though they're going to put parking and they're going to put all these kinds of elements that are not necessarily residential overlooking the substation, that anything above the parking garage, such as at 8 stories or 9, and anything above that up to the 30 floors, if they wanted to build residential and the residential had views to the waterfront, that would preclude them, because the language, the way it was written in a way where they almost had to put blank walls from the garage, all the way from the ground floor all the way up to the 30th level, if it was a residential use overlooking the substation. So we felt that because we have the greenway, because we have a 10-foot wall, to address their concern, we've actually required it only at the sidewalk level. And again, that's for you all to consider.
Okay.
The property is controlled by FPL, so we can't. A third party can't build on or over
the
that
top
screen, right? So they could just have along the edge a screening so when you're driving through there or walking through there, you're not aware that there's a substation there. But certainly from a tall building, the top of the substation may be visible, but there's just nothing any developer, any private entity could do about it.
Let Councilwoman continue.
The screening could be landscaping, correct?
No, the screening is for the architecture for the building. Whatever portion of the building that faces the substation. So like if you have a parking structure and above that you have a tower, and the tower has residential units, and that tower, even though it's set back 100 feet away from the substation or 200 feet away, the way the language was written is that any wall that's facing that substation would have to be substantially screened. In other words, they couldn't look, any residential use could not look at it. So obviously that was a concern, because then they would feel like they would have to build this blank wall all the way up to 30 floors, and then they couldn't really activate that use on that edge, because there are views to be looked at beyond the substation.
Okay.
Okay, my next amendment is I would like to amend the maximum height allowed in the MUEWF. I know that at one point when you were making presentations, you asked for direction from council. Council never gave you direction, and we are now looking at 40 stories maximum height. I'd like to reduce that to 30 stories. I make a motion to amend the plan to that extent.
Okay, I don't hear a second, so that dies for lack of a second.
Okay, we had no discussion as to permitted uses in the Eastern Shores waterfront. I'd like to make an amendment to exclude hotels, because the hotels are not, the way I read this, are not part of the edge, so they're going to be in the center, and I don't think that goes with our vision of a mixed use, like, walking area.
I'll need to second it for a clarification.
Clarifying what? She's proposing
Well, I
no
want to
hotels.
ask,
I mean, it's-
well, I need to ask Natasha something.
So,
I'll take that as a second for discussion.
Yes. So can any of the, so the buildings, so for in Eastern Shores where we're discussing, those, could there be a mixed use like there is in, well, there's a lot of condos in Miami that are half hotel, half condo?
Yes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. That could be there. And so because if, and it obviously if we are allowing it in this zoning, then if someone comes to us with it, we have to allow it?
If it's permitted, yes. If it's under the permitted use table, but
It's a conditional use.
Okay, so the answer is it's a conditional use in the zone.
Page 12.
And why did we decide to include that? Because I honestly do not remember discussing that at all.
It is a permitted use currently in the B2 in your commercial zoning district, and that's why we included it. And if it's conditional, it's because it's permitted that way.
Uh-huh.
So all we did was leave it as the same as what it is today.
Okay, any other questions on it?
It's only a conditional use in the core and in the center, not in the edge. That's not a permitted use at
Right.
the edge.
which means it's going to be smack in the middle.
Okay. Okay, no other comments? Okay, I don't see any reason to exclude hotels. Again, you know, a lot of the, so, you know, there's not going to, you know what, it's just, it's a compatible use in there, because any hotel that would be built in there would be built in, all the building typologies that you have are all active street uses on pedestals and everything else. Isn't that correct, Natasha?
Correct.
So it's not like there's going to be a freestanding Motel 6 in the middle of Intracosta Mall. Okay, that's all I need to know. I don't have anything else. Okay, it's been moved to amend this to not allow hotels in the MUEWF zone. So if you vote yes, you're saying no to a potential hotel. If you vote no, you're leaving it as the professionals recommended. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
No.
No. Page 25 of the Eastern Shores, the MU Eastern Shores. I move that we amend subparagraph O2E to provide that the developer shall provide for multiple access points. Everything else says the developer shall provide, that one does not, and that is so crucial to traffic flow.
I think that's the intent, and if you want to add that, I wouldn't have a problem.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, well, hold on.
That's a motion to
It's
amend.
motion.
I'll second that.
Okay, we got a second. Yeah, wait, let's just get an explanation real quick. This is really a simple one. We can move this fast.
Where is it?
This is a,
On page 25 of the Eastern Waterfront, under number 2, public services. It lists A through F, and each one of those points, A through F, begins with the language, the developer shall be required to blah, 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 and then you get down to E, which we had added, but it should say the developer shall be required to, and then E reads provide for multiple access points. So it's just adding in that same language that appears in each one of the other bullet points, and that's what the intention was. When
Yeah, A through F are all shalls. They must do that.
And what I don't want is to ever have the developer say, well, it doesn't say it has to be the developer. The city, you provide it.
That's a fair comment.
Okay.
It will have to be the developer.
Okay, you said it's on page 25?
Yeah.
Because I got in the
It's
wrong
almost at the
section.
end of
I
the book.
couldn't-
Middle of the page.
It's almost at the end of the book.
F?
E.
Oh, E.
Developer shall provide.
So under number 2, public services, there's A through F. We're talking about E. It's just,
Let's call for the vote.
Okay. So so should it be,
All the other ones say the developer. That's the only one that's
right,
not.
so are you,
developer.
you're saying add the language to the developer?
Shall provide.
The developer shall be required to provide.
Okay.
make that
Okay, so,
consistent.
any other comments? Anybody else with anything on
No,
that?
call for the vote.
Okay. Okay, so the motion is to add the language developer shall into that section.
Shall be required.
And so the yes is to make the change, the no is to leave it the way it is. Everybody got that? So all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? She said aye. Okay, so that's amended. You have, who's got the notes on that?
Okay, I have a question for the city attorney, because this obviously was something that was very important to me. Discussed it with staff yesterday. I got a little heated, I apologize for that, but it's so important because Eastern Shores can't function if there's not additional ways to get the public in and out. This new page 12 with the asterisk, when the language refers to the street network connectivity regulating plan, whatever, it says that the streets shall be in substantial conformity to the map. Is it sufficient to just have an asterisk and not to show additional ingress and egress from 826?
In my
The
opinion,
asterisk.
that is sufficient, and I'll explain why. The diagram that you referred to is intended to delineate the property owner's property. I think it's been pretty clear in the record. It is your intent, you've expressed it numerous times, that in addition to whatever that diagram requires the developer to do by way of traffic connectivity, there is an additional requirement that is imposed under subsection O, which says development approval conditions, and one of those conditions is to provide access directly to 826. So what we have now done is that we have made it abundantly clear that in addition to those requirements that govern circulation within the owner's property, there is an additional requirement set forth in the diagram that there must be compliance with subsection O, and subsection O makes it very clear, and you just voted on this, that the developer shall be required to provide multiple access points. So if it wasn't clear before, it's definitely clear now that that is an additional requirement.
Okay. Hey, just a point of information here real quick. Mr. Smith, I just thought of something. The fact that we just added language developer shall, what happens if FDOT comes in and provides a change in the access? I mean, obviously, if FDOT comes and does it, no one's going to tell them, no, don't do it. But, you know, did we just create a problem with that wording?
I think that if someone else satisfies that requirement on behalf of the developer,
Okay.
the developer has complied by
Okay.
providing
I-
access.
It just hit me. I'm thinking, wait a
I think
second.
what we're trying to say here is that the city will not be providing
Right.
the access. If
Okay.
someone else provides the access, the city will be okay with it.
But that language is okay the way it's been, because, okay.
Yes.
All right.
Would it, Mr. Attorney, would it be fair to say the developer or another entity?
Or someone on its behalf.
Well, I mean, look, we already voted on this issue, but it just hit me, and if I need, if we need to we're all on the prevailing side, we could reconsider it in order to say the city shall not be responsible, and, if that makes it clearer, I don't know.
I think we should leave it the way it is.
Leave it is?
And-
Let's face
and
it,
you're-
if a developer comes and FDOT has already done that, they just ask the board, the zoning board, to waive that requirement by showing that there's sufficient egress and egress.
Makes sense, makes sense. Okay.
Mayor, the developer is still allowing the access of that road to
Right.
private property, so I think
Got
the
it.
way it's worded works perfectly.
So, we're everybody's clear on that one? Okay, Councilwoman? Okay. Wait. You were 4, so I still have Franz. Okay. We're back to, we've made the one amendment to it. We're back to the main plan.
Oh,
I had
I do have
Kramer.
one other thing.
Okay.
Because I got up and I asked our attorney, when I was reading what they handed to us with regard to Section 24-58D, it says, however, repair, renovation, or expansion of an existing retail building larger than 100,000 square feet may be made without any limitation on the value of same. Maybe I'm just reading this too literally, without any limitation on the value of the building? Why do we care about the value of the building?
I think that's standard.
No, I think
It's the value of the improvement, not the value of the
So
building.
if a building is worth $2 million, and they want to come and renovate it, do a very big renovation, and the value of that construction exceeds $1 million, it's the 50% rule. In our code, just as someone else mentioned, the building code says if you exceed 50% of the value of the building, then you have to follow the new code. In this case, the zoning, if they exceeded 50% of the value in the renovations, they would have to basically start from scratch and build the whole mixed-use project, and they could not renovate their existing retail store in the configuration it is. So it's it's based on the valuation, and this is simply saying that that limitation would not apply. So if they had a very rigorous renovation program that was going to exceed the 50%, they would not be caught in jeopardy. This is what we discussed with the corporate target people, and we think that this would
Okay.
solve that.
And this is Councilwoman Martell's question, rephrased slightly. This goes to zoning, not to building code.
Absolutely correct.
Correct.
All right, before we go around a second time on this, Councilman DiFilippo, do you have anything to add real quick right now? If not, I'm going to go, and then I'm going to give an opportunity for anybody to get a second bite here. Anybody? Councilman Pierre? If not, I'm going to go before we go.
Okay, let me take.
First go around. Go ahead.
No, I take both bites in one shot.
Okay. Whatever. You still get another one if you need, but go ahead.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for recognizing me. Ladies and gentlemen from North Miami Beach, good evening. I really don't know how to start this, but briefly, I could go back to my beginnings in North Miami Beach. Thanks to Hurricane Andrew, if my memory serves me well, that was 1992. I had the opportunity to emigrate from Miami Beach to North Miami Beach. Those of you who know my story, I was supposed to come for one night because at that time I only knew one person in North Miami Beach, and I asked for permission to come to us for one night. And that person today is the mother of my 5 children. So there is a love story between me and North Miami Beach, but this is not where I'm coming from. But it was only 23 years ago. I'm not talking 60 years like Senator Silva or somebody else. I'm taking you back only 23 years ago. North Miami Beach was North Miami Beach. And over the years, I've seen with consternation the degradation of infrastructure. I've seen a decline in our services. I've seen a gap between the residents. And I've seen young children becoming gang people. And I can list them all. And all of those factors put me to run for office way back in 2007. And it took me 8 years to get 2015-5 to 9. It takes time. It takes understanding. It takes countless meetings. This council alone, that's my opportunity to congratulate every single one of you. I know we have our differences. I know we have different styles, different tastes. But if there is one thing I'm really proud of all of you, is this resolution. You and I, along with staff, have put countless hours of working, teaching, educating, and personally, I don't know how many times, how many hours I spent with developers, with RMA, with the city manager. It took me 5 managers to finally get it. Thank you, Ms. Garcia. Because she was very patient with me. She take me through the steps, and when she doesn't have the answer, she refer me to the person who does. From the bottom of my heart, I say thank you. Now, with one resolution, actually ordinance, thank you. With this ordinance, I was able to accomplish many of my goals. As a council person and as a school teacher, I wanted to do something for the kids. That's why it takes to our city manager and the chief of police, kudos to both of them, we were able to come up with a fire program to emancipate our youth. And another thing I noticed, North Miami Beach was not a destination city. It was a city of people passing by, maybe to buy coffee and to throw the cup away. But my goal was to make of North Miami Beach a destination city. And one way we can do it is with this resolution. And as top priority, we have made sure, and goal number 1 was we're planning for a financially sustainable future. It's not for a one-shot thing. If we have to do it, we have to do it right, and we have to do it for the future. And this is what we accomplish. By voting yes for this, I want all the residents to know we only pave the way for sustainable and reasonable development in our city. If I need more dollars to fund my youth program, if Councilman Spiegel want more money for half work, if Councilman DiFilippo want more dollars to bring more businesses as a president of Chamber of Commerce, we know what to do, but the impediment was there's no revenue. And as family members, we know if you have the same amount of dollars and you do more things, some things will not suffer. You have to pick and choose. But in that case, we just we pave the way. There is nothing in concrete, but we simply send a strong signal that we open. Mr. Mayor, I remember when you said North Miami Beach is open for business. Now, with this ordinance, I'm not going to say we open for business. I'm going to say we mean business with this resolution. So it probably takes years, weeks, or months, or days to understand it, but I can tell you, I never spent so much time doing research for the past 2 weeks. I have to travel far, places you will not believe, just to get a meaning of one little bitty detail. It was this morning I spent half a day in Eastern Shores. So there, I understand all the comments, but I only simply regret being the type of person I am. This is something I would love to see the public to vote on a referendum kind of thing, but unfortunately it's not going to happen. But rest assured that with this ordinance, we have taken a leap step in historic proportion in the right direction. And I would once again thanks all of you. It's my anticipation that we're going to vote for it, and maybe we're not going to see the result, but 25 years, 50 years, 100 years from now, my children and my grandchildren will say, Dad, Granddaddy, I'm glad you did this for the city. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you, Councilman. Councilwoman, go ahead.
Thank you. I just want to say if he's going to be here 100 years from now for his grandchildren to talk to him, I want to take those vitamins too.
Yeah,
I'm ready for that. You know, the only thing I'd like to add, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, is that when, you see that we sat for a long time, don't be disheartened because, the manager always says, now is our time. This is our time. Because everything around us is so overly developed and so there's very little land left, this is North Miami Beach's time. And I have a little insight that I believe by the end of the year the interest rates are going to go up. So I think you're going to see it sooner than later, a change for our city, a change for the betterment. And I think I am a 60-year resident. And I have to tell you, the next few years are going to not change the scope so that you'll say, I have to find another city to live. They're going to change the scope so you're going to say, thank goodness I live in North Miami Beach. And I'm excited to be a part of that. I'm excited to be in my home and in this city and be a big part of the progression that we are going to make for each person that lives, works, and plays here to have a better place to come to. Thank you again, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Anyone else? Or we're okay. Well, first off, then I'll just my quick comments on this. I want to start off by thanking everyone from the staff for all the efforts that you guys have put into this because it's thousands of hours that you guys have put into this. And I think it's important that the residents and the people listening know that this is not just writing and scribbling things on a piece of paper and little maps and whatever. This staff has gone and walked the streets in every single one of these parcels. Walked the streets, walked the alleys. They know every block, what's there, what's possible, what's not possible because of the FPL wires or the sewer, whatever it is, that all went into this. So this was not just some kind of thing that was, just scribbled on a piece of paper. This is an incredibly in-depth analysis of our city, what is possible and what is right. So I want to say from the attorney's office, Mr. Smith, Dottie, Sarah especially, that you've been knee-deep in this thing for a year, to the planning staff, Richard, Mr. Rivero, Carlos sitting back there. You're hiding behind it. I can't see you, but I know that this is something that for a guy like you that's been in this city as a resident and an employee for so many years, this has been a long time coming. I want to thank you for everything that you've done, Madam Manager, for putting this team together and keeping everyone informed, from the staff to the council and just constantly keeping everybody focused on the prize at the end. You've done an outstanding job. Gene, just always coming up here and explaining this stuff clearly. Great job. And I've got to save one of the most praise here for Natasha. Natasha, I just got to tell you, you have been unbelievable during this. I'm sure I probably took up way too much of your time sitting there and going through and asking over and over different questions, but it was always about making sure that we got the right plan for the city. And so I want to thank you. You guys have all been outstanding, and I know that everybody agrees with me on that. This is really bringing the city into the 2015 to 21st century. We had a outdated zoning code mostly from the 60s, right, Mr. Smith or Carlos, right? Mostly from the 60s, like pretty outdated code, right? So we're bringing this, into the modern times, and the way I see this is but one component, but this one change, if we pass this now, can unleash the potential that exists in this city of our world-class location and our world-class people. This is going to make us a truly, just the premier community, in my mind, in Northeast Dade for sure, if not Dade County. You know, to the folks that are concerned about the different, you know, the change is always something that can be a little unsettling. But here we have a plan that really gives the people the options. We're preserving the single-family neighborhoods, which we have beautiful single-family neighborhoods, something that is in short supply in Northeast Dade. But we're also giving people choices. And that's one of the things that I see about this. You know, a lot of people look at this, well, you guys are just trying to get, you know, tax revenue or this, that's not what this is about. This is about what the people want and the people deserve. And the people deserve the housing choices, the choices for their businesses that are modern, what they want today. They deserve to have that choice. We preserve the single-family neighborhoods, but if somebody wants to live in a luxury condo building on the water, they've got it. If they want to live in a downtown core mixed-use type of living where they have shops and restaurants downstairs and it's very walkable, they've got it. So we're giving the people choices, and I think our people deserve that. But the side benefit of this, of course, is what several of my colleagues said, that this also, not only do we give people the resources, and not only do we beautify our city, but it also it gives the resources for the city to then be able to deploy more money into parks, more money into policing so that we can improve and combat crime, more money so that we can continue to beautify our streetscapes as we've been doing. And thank you, Madam Manager, and all the staff involved in that, you know, because the beautification is basically from every corner of our city, from Interstate 95 to the Intracoastal Waterway. And this will give us the resources to be able to do that. Because our residents deserve, you know, that clean, safe, beautiful city that they can be proud to call home. And the last thing that I want to say about it is I want to say my biggest thank you for my colleagues up here on the dais, because every single one of you I know has invested, you know, we've got to be well in over 100 hours plus or hundreds of hours into this project, considering the amount of time that went at the strategic planning level and throughout this entire process with all of the public workshops, all of the workshops here, all of the meetings with staff, the hours, you know, it's countless amount of time, and I'm so happy that everyone, you know, worked through the process, and at every step of the way, we've had a unanimous vote. We've had it at the strategic plan through first reading, and I hope it will be the same through second reading, and so I want to thank you guys for that, but I also want to thank you for the courage to stare down the naysayers, because our city had been held back for years, and as many communities, by people that will come up and complain about any change. And that is what kills communities, because I can assure you that there's 43,000 people in this city, and if 10 people come out to complain, we got to remember that there's 42,990 out there that are too busy leading their lives, helping their kids with their homework, getting their work done, doing life stuff to be able to, that they hold an election, and that's why they elected us, to do the right thing. So I want to say thank you for having the courage to vote along this entire process and stick with doing what is right. Madam Manager, you said it earlier. I think several people have said it. This is a legacy item that we're going to leave for the future of our city. And quite honestly, most of us up here on the dais will not be on this dais when the real fruit of this change when this ordinance change starts to bear fruit and the change really starts happening in the city. But I am 100% confident that 10 years from now, people are going to drive through the city of North Miami Beach and they're going to say, as Councilman Pierre said, they're going to drive through and they're going to say, wow. That's what they're going to say. They're going to say, wow, what a change, what an amazing city. Man, those people were smart to do what they did, and that's what's going to happen. So this is all about the future of the city of North Miami Beach. I am 100% behind this, and I hope this will be a unanimous vote. let's make it happen for our residents. Madam Clerk, let's take the roll call vote.
Roll call vote on ordinance 215-5. Councilwoman Kramer?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Martell?
Yes.
Councilman Pierre?
Excitedly, yes.
Councilwoman Smith?
Yes.
Councilwoman Spiegel? Councilman DeFilippo?
Yes.
Mayor Valle?
She made me sweat there. Absolutely yes. Thank you.
The ordinance passes on second reading. The ordinance passes on second reading 7-0 as amended.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you again all for your
Natasha.
and your faith in us. Thank you.
Thank you. We know you guys aren't done yet, but thank you very much. Okay?
Thank you. Yes.
So everybody's just going to leave now, huh?
They're gonna
That's why you should have held
All right.
hostage.
Let's
tequila for
folks.
everybody.
We're going to take a 5-minute recess here because otherwise we're not getting anything done with.
No, never. Thank you. Thank you. Last minute correction.
We do have a meeting to... Why did y'all do this?
Whatever. I told him I got him a ticket.
Yeah, no, it's okay. We'll give it. I have everything. We have the words.
I know, she called me. I'm going to get them to look at it.
And you did a great job.
I'm Patricia Sagas from the Miami Herald.
Oh,
can I get your number? Because I'm sure I'm going to have questions.
Yeah, absolutely.
You do really wonderful job. Thank you.
What are we doing?
I told her, I'd say, who's that back there? This is your, I can call you tomorrow?
Myself, yeah.
Okay.
If you have a cell, text me, and then I'll know it's you.
Yeah.
Because I get a million calls.
Okay, I'll text you. Say, this is Patricia.
I'm so ready to go home. I wish you guys, I wish they would just like finish this.
And I'll ask you about
Yes.
This caller texted me access to the insured area and
What was the issue? It's a huge, long story. I'd rather tell you over the phone.
Okay, and I'll look
It's a long
over.
story because there was concern about traffic impacting Northeast 35th Avenue.
But it's a moot point, right? Because what I understood is that the previous, what was already in the code or the zoning, precluded any developer from preventing any other access. Is that right?
No, I think you're misunderstood.
Okay.
I'll explain it to you. But basically, it's the concern of adding more traffic, new development onto 35th. So we were very, very clear from the very beginning. The developer, all property owners have to provide another access. So they're already in the talks with FDOT to reroute Carroll Road. Traffic actually goes under the bridge. They don't even have to get on 35th. There's a lot of already discussions happening, and it's a positive thing.
Hey guys.
For all your support.
Okay. This part?
Yeah, I do. Give me let me get it off.
I'll be inside.
Thank you. Come here.
This is like the birth of a child.
Oh,
Thank
Madam Clerk, Madam Attorney. I see y'all flagging out over there. Councilman Pierre? Yeah, happy St. Patrick's Day.
Congratulations.
No, that's a different department.
I know, but I'm
No, but we're on the schedule tomorrow? Okay, I didn't look at it tomorrow. Mr. Lombardi. Mayor, how are you? How are you? Good to see you. Let me get this thing wrapped up. We have some items to take care of. Listen, what are you going to have? You got it. That's my drink.
Mr. Mayor, thank you, sir. Thank you for all the support. I would like to make it back.
Let me go ahead and get this thing rolling. Folks, council, let's go ahead and get back to the dais, and we've got one piece of legislation left. So if we're diligent, we can finish it in short order, and then we can we'll be able to really adjourn the meeting. So. Who am I missing? Do you want me to say your name on TV? Okay. All right. I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting back to order. Councilwoman. Okay, I'm going to go ahead. Yeah, we're calling back. We're back in session. So we'll go ahead. We have one other item, which is 15.3.
Move to introduce ordinance number 2015-6, second and final reading.
Second.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of North Miami Beach, Florida, relating to municipal elections, changing the date for the City of North Miami Beach municipal runoff election, now scheduled for May 12, 2015 to May 19, 2015, and to adjust the terms of office of sitting council persons necessitated by such change of date as requested by the Miami-Dade County Supervisor of Elections and as authorized by Florida Statute 166.0214 and 100.36052, providing for the repeal of all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for the codification of this ordinance, and providing for an effective date. This is a second reading.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Okay. Madam Clerk, you want to give us the real quick explanation for the public that may be catching this only for the first time?
This ordinance is just to change our runoff date from May 12th to May 19th. It's a request from Miami-Dade County in order to get our machines and stuff ready if a runoff is necessary.
Which means that the runoff date of an election, the election will be, if necessary, will be on?
May 19th.
May 19th. Got it. Okay.
I'm sorry, Mayor.
Yes. Well, let me just see if any...
You need to open the public hearing.
Yeah, does anyone from the public want to address or comment on this ordinance second reading? No? Councilman DeFilippo, you had a question?
So I just wanted to clarify for the residents and the voters of this city that this is effective this upcoming year.
This, right.
I want to make that clear so that everybody understands that this particular ordinance that we're reading will affect the runoff schedule for this upcoming 2015 voting year, and will move the date from the runoff date from May 12th, 2015 to May 19th, 2015. Just so everybody understands that this is effective this year, this coming May.
Well,
let's do this to avoid confusion. Everyone in the public, Election Day is still May 5th.
Mm-hmm.
May 5th. Yes, I could count on. Today's St. Patrick's Day and it's Cinco de Mayo. So anyway, so May 5th is Election Day. If a runoff is necessary, that would be May 19th. So please don't come to Election Day May 19th. You would have missed it. May 5th, and you please come out and vote. Okay. Anybody else? No. Madam Clerk?
Vice Mayor Martell,
Yes.
Councilman Pierre,
Yes.
Councilwoman Smith,
Yes.
Councilwoman Spiegel, Councilman DeFilippo,
Yes.
Councilwoman Kramer. The item passes 7-0.
I didn't vote.
I'm sorry, Mayor Valle.
But I'll just say yes.
Thank you. The item passes 7-0 on second reading.
Move to introduce ordinance number 2015-7.
Second.
Second and final reading.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of North Miami Beach, Florida, amending the Code of Ordinances, Chapter 7, Elections, specifically Section 7-14, Early Voting, providing for early voting dates and times for the City of North Miami Beach general election to be held in May 2015, providing for the repeal of all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict therewith, providing for severability, codification, and for an effective date.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Okay, Madam Clerk, you want to explain what this is and make sure you give the dates so that everyone knows also.
Any time.
That was in the report. This ordinance is to provide for our early voting dates for this upcoming election, and our early voting schedule is April 30th through May 3rd. April 30th, Thursday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. May 1st, Friday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. May 2nd, which is Saturday, 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. And May 3rd, that's Sunday, from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m.
And all of the early voting takes place
Here at City Hall.
here in the lobby,
In the
right?
lobby.
Okay, so just to make sure everybody's clear on that. Okay, is there anyone from the public that wishes to comment on this ordinance, second and final reading? No? Okay. Anybody from this? No? Madam Clerk?
Councilman Pierre,
Yes.
Councilwoman Smith,
Yes.
Councilwoman Spiegel, Councilman DeFilippo,
Yes.
Councilwoman Kramer, Vice Mayor Martell,
Yes.
Mayor Vallejo.
Yes.
The item passes 7-0 on second reading.
Okay, thank you. Let's, we're going to circle back. Madam Manager,
Yes, really quick,
Yeah.
let me go through the city manager's report.
46 seconds.
Okay.
No, just kidding. Take all your time you need.
Real quick, Chief, can you just update us on the result of the Leo Awards last weekend?
Yeah, several years ago, they started this award program referred to as the LEOs, Law Enforcement Officers Awards, and it's very similar to it's tantamount to the Oscars. We had some people that were nominated in various classifications, but we were successful in being named Investigative Excellence for the Detective Bureau. And this dates back, if you recall, almost a year ago. We had the young lady that was abducted, and with some horrible things that happened. And Nigel Morrison was our lead on that, but the entire team, the work that they did, and they were able to take three really bad guys off the street, and it was such a successful mission that when you look at all the crimes that have occurred in Miami-Dade County and investigated, that one was named as that got them the Investigative Year Award. So it was an incredible night. We got to celebrate greatly, as well as we had an honorable mention for Nelson Camacho for his Officer of the Officer of the Month, and he got an honorable mention for Officer of the Year. And that was, as I spoke to you guys about two meetings ago, we brought him up to celebrate his accomplishments. But this was a wonderful evening that night for NMBPD.
Well, Chief, we got to say congratulations for that one. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. This book couldn't be thick enough to share with you guys all the great things that are happening in the different departments. But upcoming, we have some really amazing events. We have our youth symposium, which of course our Parks and Recreation department and Paulette and the rest of the team, working with the North Miami Beach Commission of the Status of Women, have put together an amazing program. I was there last year, and this year it's titled From Selma to Ferguson to You, is how to be leaders during very challenging times and how to have alternative ways of dealing with injustice or certain challenging situations. So this is going to be an amazing program. It's going to take place Friday, March 20th, 2015, from 8 to 3 p.m. here at the McDonald Center, and it's open to all teens and young adults, and we wanted to share that with you today. Additionally, if you haven't heard, the City of North Miami Beach The Magical History Tour is an amazing event. Both Richard and I have signed up, and I'm sure Councilwoman Kramer in her closing remarks will talk about it. But as we turn 90 next year, if you're not involved, if you don't really know the intricacies and the special history of our city, this is a great opportunity to do so. And that's going to take place Saturday, April the 18th at 10 a.m. departure. And if you want more information, because space is limited, it's 305-948-2957. Additionally, we wanted to share a very, very, very special upcoming concert in our very own Lippman Theater. I met with some of our school board folks, our school board representative, Martin Karp. I was just speaking with Mr. Yona Lunger. Not only is it a very special concert, but it's for a very, very special cause. It's the Children's Survival Network. This is a city that cares. We're doing a lot of great things. So come join us April 26th at the Lippman Theater at 3 p.m. for Jubano Jazz. I'm thinking Jubano is a combination of Jewish and Cubans really playing some really good music. So it's I think it is.
Yeah.
But it's going to take place here at the Lippman Theater. Great cause, Jubano Jazz, April 26th at 3 p.m.
And they are chamber members.
They are chamber members.
Yeah.
Something different?
You got them. We're planning a really great Spring Fest Sunday, May 17th from 1 to 6 p.m. My hat's off to Rasha Camus. Wrote a great grant. We were able to get some significant funding for this event through Miami-Dade County Cultural Foundation. It's Miami-Dade County Cultural Foundation. Working with our CRA, working with our utility, and it really is going to be an outstanding event, working with the Chamber to really celebrate the CRA, and also celebrate everything that's happening in regards to zoning and let everybody know we're here and we're open for business and come and look at our beautiful city. And last but not least, you have our service standards in front of you. It's basically a contract that every single one of your employees is going to sign to further our commitment to the residents of the city of North Miami Beach, all the business folks, everybody who lives and plays here and has a business here. You will have now the commitment from the people that work here to ensure that we have the best standards of respect, integrity, service, and excellence. We have one more event that I've been asked to promote, and this is coming from our dear friend Trish. It's Relay for Life 2015, and it's going to take place in Miami Beach, Saturday, April the 11th at Cagney Park. I'm sorry, in North Miami. I'm sorry, and it's going to be a team from North Miami, Miami Shores, and North Miami Beach, and it's going to take place on Cagney Park. And certainly last but not least, and Councilwoman Smith talked about it early, we are partnering with County Commissioner Sally Hayman, and as soon as we get the flyer, we're going to circulate it. But we're going to have a spaying and neutering event here in our city. We've done it in other cities, and it's a fantastic event. And with that, this concludes my manager's report. Oh,
thank you. I was going to say, yeah,
I'm sorry. We have the LATF chief. Oh, Mother's Day. I'm sorry.
Breakfast.
That's in May. We're gonna talk about it as the couple meetings. But yeah, Mother's Day breakfast, certainly to keep it on the calendar. Chief.
Good evening again. I come before you with an LATF request. They're broken down in the various aspects of it. The state portion of it is primarily dealing with our various children's services that we do. It funds FLY, the Future Leaders in Our Youth, the Neighborhood Football League, our midnight basketball program for the youth empowerment. In addition, we have federal funds for the purpose of overtime for the task forces, police training. We have the rental reimbursement amounts, and the primary equipment that we're looking at doing is the helmets for the SRT team and the ballistic shields. We're replacing those or requesting permission to replace them. Additionally, we have an older vehicle that was donated some years back that was used for the dive team and the Marine Patrol operations. We have a vehicle that we're able to take and pull from a regular fleet that's a newer vehicle, and this is to outfit it to be able to support the dive team and Marine Patrol operations. And lastly, We also have a request for upgrading the police department Sally Port. Currently, we use it strictly for bringing in prisoners. However, we saw it as a possibility to take into climate control it and utilize it as a dual-use facility for training as well. I have a request in here for part of the infrastructure for our citywide cameras. This was a $75,000 purchase to give us the servers. Currently, as you all know, we have been able to put cameras out on the Snake Creek Canal Trail, as well as we have a project ready to go forward with Highland Village. It's almost wrapped up, but this will allow us to take it to record that video feed. Currently, we only have a 5-day maximum on existing infrastructure. This will not only allow for a lot more storage of that, but it's very much expandable. The initial part of this would take 50 cameras at a time. It is expandable up to 3,100 cameras in theory, but it's a theoretic number strictly. But what we'd be looking at is to be able to get feeds from existing cameras, such as 2 of our red light cameras are capable of being fed in through this to record it, as well as a couple other cameras that are available throughout the city. So I think that would be very, very helpful. This is going to be a building block process. If you remember, we asked for $50,000 to do a study. This is part of the basic infrastructure that will support that.
Motion.
Thank you. Wait, one quick second. Let me just ask something. Mr. Smith, does this need to be 2 separate motions because one's state and one is federal, or is all just, we can just, the appropriate?
You can do it in one motion.
Okay.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay. Any comments, anything?
Yeah.
Chief? Yeah, go ahead.
I just had one question. You referred, Chief, that this works on 50 cameras at a time. How are we going to pilot this, and how many are we going to start with? Do you know?
Well, currently we have ready to go online an additional 8 that are going to be camera owned, that are city owned. We have feeds coming from 2 of our red light cameras that are capable of receiving those. That'll give us another 4. We're looking at the FDOT cameras on 163 and Northeast 2, as well as this would give us the capability of pulling into some of the school cameras. We have an agreement with the schools to be able to pull some of their exterior cameras, and from there we'll build the infrastructure.
This is fantastic. I think that may I?
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Let me tell you, for many years, this is long awaited. Many residents of our city have asked for this, and it's finally here. It's finally here in front of us, and I'm so proud that our police department has taken the initiative to do the investigation and find out the exact technology that we need to keep our city safe and to move forward into the 21st century, into the technology that we need to be efficient and to serve our community and our residents better. This was my promise from the get-go, from day one on my trail when I started my campaign, and I think this is fabulous. Cameras, technology, this is the way to go. We can't have a cop on every corner, but we could sure have cameras on many places in this city, and this is just the beginning. Thank you very much. I think it's a great program.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, Councilman Smith.
Thank you. Chief,
Yes, ma'am.
I too have had many, many, many calls and stopping me in the street about cameras for safety, because you see on the news almost nightly where the camera makes the difference in catching the thief, in catching the person that did harm, in catching the person that was the kidnapper. So my question to you is there any way that we can get some grant money so that every one of our parks, I know that some of our parks, and I'm not going to tell you which ones out there, some of our parks have cameras. I'd like to see every one of our parks have a camera immediately. I'd like to see where people walk around Snake Creek that I know that there's cameras, but there's other places in the city where the public uses and enjoys the city. So is there grant money we could get, or can you come back before us so that we know that every one of our parks have a camera, and where people in the city are enjoying it, they feel safer?
Multiple questions there. First of all, yes, we are searching very much for some grants. Many of them are going to be matching grants. We're prepared in the event we're able to take in and land any of those. This is a very monumental project. We want to be very careful the steps we take. There's plenty of people out there that will lead us around, but we want to make sure we're going in the right direction. So this is a building block aspect of it. We've worked with parks as well for some of the parks that do have cameras, and I've met with Ms. Murphy regarding that as well. But yes, our desires are to put a lot of cameras in, but it will not cover every single corner. It will be a tool in our toolbox. It will be utilized to assist us in the investigation, and hopefully as we move forward, even to be proactive to crime, not reactive. But certainly it will serve as an investigative tool and hopefully make this city safe for one camera spot at a time.
Well, tonight we voted for development to come in, and with their development comes green spaces. So when they come before us, that could be one of the requirements, that they have to have those green spaces not only lit up and well maintained, but also have to have them monitored. I just know that my interaction with all of the public has been that they feel safer having it. And so I see that it's a goal, and from the police department, North Miami Beach, I'm very proud of that. And I want to be the person that gives you the tools that you'll need to make it go further, faster. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And I would like to congratulate the chief on putting the fly program under the radar again this year. Based on our experience last year, I think that was money well spent, and I'm glad that you were kind enough to include that in the report. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Chief, I agree with all of the requests, and in fact, the only comment I'm going to make is buried in item number 4. I see equipment for SRT, ballistic helmets, shields, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And, all I'm going to tell you is you can always count on our support that makes sure that our guys have the absolute best, the very best, spare no expense in that equipment, because as we know, that ballistic shield helped save, obviously, our officer Diaz's life. So I'm happy to see that in there in full support. So it's been moved and seconded for the LETF request. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? None? Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
You're set. Mr. Smith, your report, please.
Yeah, speaking of police, the chief and I and his staff have been working very closely on police forfeiture cases, and I've identified a number of them in my litigation list. 2 of them brought in approximately $12,000. We have also seized an automobile, Chevrolet Camaro, and the chief and I also spoke about putting special emphasis on getting additional revenue in that manner. So hopefully that may be able to pay for some of the cameras that Councilwoman Phyllis Smith has asked for, among other things. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you.
And Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I want to interrupt because Dottie Joseph just walked out the door. She's probably still in the hallway, and I think we as a council have to congratulate her on becoming the new president of the Haitian Attorneys. And we're very proud.
Congratulations, Dottie.
Before she gets on that elevator.
I didn't realize you were trying to escape out the side door there because...
Not letting it happen, not letting it happen.
Well, thank you, Councilwoman Smith, for catching that. And so now you're on the spot. You have to speak for 3 minutes.
No. I will
On
yield my time to the good people on the dais and just say thank you so much for your support in coming out. It was great to have North Miami Beach represented. We had lots of other cities represented, but we held it down for North Miami Beach.
right.
So thank you so much for all of your attendance, your support, and to my boss for just letting me do it because it's a lot of work. And you guys just rock. That's all I want to say.
Dottie, you know what? Congratulations. The people of North Miami Beach are very lucky to have you as Deputy City Attorney. We love you. And as you can see, once again, the NMB tables were the loudest ones in the house, as usual.
Yes, we were. Thank you.
In a good way, by the way.
A Yale graduate. She should proudly wear it. And we met her parents, and her mother is lovely. Her father, so proud.
You know you're not going to escape without Councilwoman Smith embarrassing you like that.
I'm very proud indeed. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Councilwoman. Thank you. Well, that's our meeting. Madam Clerk, let's take the reports.
Sir,
Everyone
can I give
gets.
my update before we.
But I
take
thought we did your
We
update
did
when we
not
did the
do my
dates.
update.
Oh,
I have dates.
I'm sorry.
I have dates that the community, they're calling, they want me to make these announcements.
Make the announcements.
Um,
Loud and clear.
I will first say that on last Wednesday evening, we held an event here, our election campaign skills seminar that was well attended. The county is just overwhelmed. We prepared for 50 and we ended up with about 65 to 70 people in the room. We had to bring out chairs. So thank you all for coming out for that event. Qualifying time is here. Next Monday, March 23rd through the 28th, we'll begin our qualifying period for our May 5th, 2015 election. And the qualifying dates and times are May 23rd through the 27th, Monday through Friday, 8 to 5 p.m. And on that Saturday, it's 8 to 12 noon at the city clerk's window.
Yeah, she said the 27th.
Did you say May 23rd?
May.
March.
No, I'm sorry, March 23rd.
Next week. Right.
March 23rd through the 27th, next week. I can't wait for this to be over.
Neither can I. Sorry.
I also got the dates today that if you plan to vote in this election, you must have your registration in to Miami-Dade County by April 6, 2015. You have to be registered to vote with Miami-Dade County by April 6, 2015. Absentee ballots will start to be mailed out the week of April 13th, 2015. Of course, they need us to get through qualifying so that they can put the ballot together. Wednesday, April 29th will be the deadline for requesting an absentee ballot. And you can make your request to the Miami-Dade County Elections Department, 305-499-8683. And you can always call our city clerk's office for more information also, 305-787-6001. But that's our election update.
Would you also, since you were on the topic of absentee ballots, and that's a very big headline about absentee ballots and people mishandling absentee ballots, could you inform the public what the rules are about absentee ballots to make sure people don't get taken advantage of?
With absentee ballots, you're only allowed to have no more than 2 ballots in your possession at any time. The forms are in my office for those persons who would like to request ballots. We have the forms, and if you need to request a ballot for an immediate family member, we also have the forms. You will need to contact Miami-Dade County Elections Department in order to request an absentee ballot. You can do so online, by phone, in writing, or in person. If you go in person, you must have a photo identification when requesting your absentee ballot. But there are rules and regulations to how many absentee ballots you can have in your possession, and who can handle those absentee ballots. So I suggest that if you plan to vote by absentee ballot, that you go and get the requirements for doing so.
Okay, thank you. So now let's get the council reports.
Councilman DeFilippo?
Yes, good evening. Being that we were on this topic, Madam Clerk, downstairs we have a bulletin board. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Is this going to be all posted, these dates on that board? So
all this information will be posted on the bulletin board downstairs. It will also be posted on the website. If you go on our website and click elections, all this information will also be posted there. We're updating the website as we get the information from the county.
Fantastic. Thank you for being so diligent in your work.
Thank you, sir.
Fellow residents, everybody here this evening, today you have seen a new light in the city of North Miami Beach. This is like the movie The Lion King, when the sun comes out again, when there were several clouds over us. I think this is a new time. This is a new era. I think we should all be proud of the work we've done for many, many months, years. Sticking to our strategic plan that we worked on so hard, and watching our manager follow step by step, and making sure that every line was done the way it was asked for and the dates were met, which was one of the most important things that we went through in our strategic session, was making sure that we could meet these commitments. And Madam Manager, you and your staff have shown to be able to meet those commitments and keep moving the city forward. And for that, I'm very thankful and recognize the work that has been put into this. So that being said, the strategic plan continues to move forward. We continue to make progress. You can tell, as our mayor has said, what is going on in our city. I keep hearing people pull me aside, even in Publix the other day, about the streetscapes, on how great our streets, our landscaping has never looked so nicer, our grass has never been so greener, and our trees have never looked so plush. So you know what? Congratulations to everybody out there that does this hard work every day, and the supervisors that look after them to make sure that every single piece of this city is taken care of. You can see that the work is getting done. There is progress in North Miami Beach. I thank our staff. I thank our legal department for everything that they've done. I thank our police department for protecting our city and keeping us safe. My heart goes out to the Mann family and Mikey. We did a beautiful tree cutting ceremony in recognition of Mikey and his work and devotion to the city of North Miami Beach. And to that, we are very grateful and indebted to the Mann family. Thank you very much to all those who came out and shared that very, very heartwarming moment with us. And lastly, Madam Manager, I want to tell you, I've been coming to council meetings for many, many years, since I was a child. I've in the political background for many years. I really, and I honestly, genuinely say this, I have never seen a city move so swiftly with such professionalism in making sure that the plan that is set forth by this council is executed properly. And I think that you have done that so eloquently and to the T. And truly, I am very thankful for having you on our staff and for what you and your assistant managers and everybody that you have around you have done. And you know what? I'm not going to be shy to take another minute, but I will tell you this. When I walked in the other day into the council chambers and I saw the manager and all her team together, it looked like it was just everybody together, brainstorming, paperwork. It was people at work. It was your tax dollars at work. And it's, manager, it's people like yourself that make the difference, that make North Miami Beach the difference. And to that, I'm very thankful and grateful. And I can always turn around and answer to my residents and say, we have done what we said we're going to do, and we have a manager that cares. Thank you and good night. She's the best.
Get her a clean.
Councilwoman Kramer.
Ditto, ditto. Everything that Councilman DiFilippo said. Honestly, I say it over and over again. You hear him from the dais. We can't be more excited to be a part of this great staff, this great city council, residents, moving our city forward. So, and also look at Dottie. Dottie Joseph is now the president of the Haitian Lawyer Association. We're very excited of that honor, and also the fact that our Councilman Philippe DeRose was also honored. Mm-hmm. Everyone knows he holds that distinguished title of being the first Haitian American ever elected in office, the first. So we're very happy to be there with him. I haven't seen him in a while. I just want to give everybody a few heads up on some upcoming events. First and foremost, April 18th at 10 a.m., the Magical History Tour. Great time to get your history in order. The city has a lot to offer. We have the oldest homesteads here. We have our Coral Walk Wall, which is a part of our Central Park. We have our Fulford Fountain.
Reynolds Park, the ancient Spanish monastery, and we conclude at Southern Memorial Cemetery, where a lot of our forefathers of the city were laid to rest. So a lot to see, and it's very nice with Alan Sokol as your tour guide, and I'm there for fun. Okay. For smiles. To keep Alan in line and make sure he's sticking with the timing. I want to let everybody know we have a beautification committee meeting tomorrow at 5:30. Anyone who wants to join this great committee, please do so. You can show up and just visit us and check it out, or you can ask for an application. Sure, I'd be more than happy to appoint you. Hopefully you've got some background in beautification. A good eye is all we need. So please join us. We also have Arbor Day coming up April 24th at Dolphin Park in Ulita. So we're getting ready to redo that park quite a bit and revitalize it, I should say, and update it. So I'll let you know the time at our next meeting, but please plan to be at our wonderful Arbor Day celebration that Parks and Rec puts on, and we'd appreciate that. And last but not least, I want to wish my son Jordan a happy 18th birthday. Yeah, I couldn't wait another day. Had to have my little Irish Jew, you know. So happy birthday, my Jordan. I love you, and sorry I have to be here, but hope you're having a good time, I know, with your friends right now. So get home early. You got school tomorrow. Good night.
Vice Mayor Martell.
I want to be moved from my chair so I don't have to follow Barbara every time. This is horrible. I want to wish the city of North Miami Beach a happy new year. And the reason why I say that is because it feels today like a brand new day tomorrow. The excitement that there was in this room, the moment that last vote got cast was amazing. Everybody just stood up. In the outside, in the hallway on the outside, they've been talking out there this whole time, and you know, it really does make you feel a sense of accomplishment. So many times you're sitting or you're a part of something, but you never get anything done. And since I've been up here, I just feel that we've you know, we're constantly brainstorming and figuring out and how to get better, and we're doing it, which is what makes me happy, is not talking about it, is actually getting it done. So for that, you know, I thank, you know, our staff, which is absolutely amazing. I thank, you know, RMA for all the time that they've put in. I thank our residents for giving their input, which is so very important. And I thank everybody up here for just supporting each other in this one moment where we really needed to come together and make sure that we take our city to the next level. So for that, I say Happy New Year. And with that said, I'll see you in 2 weeks, and thank you very much for joining us.
Councilman Pierre.
2 weeks?
Three. Councilman Pierre.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Good evening, everyone. First and foremost, let me say, earlier tonight, we have signed a resolution that I believe the city clerk, resolution that I believe Madam Clerk read into the record for Women History Month. And I was pleased to sign it, even though I was the last one. But there is one thing I want to remind you. Women history should not be a month thing. It should be an everyday thing. Because without women, there is no life. So that's why I have a lot of respect for all the women, especially my daughters, my wife, and my colleagues, and all of you. And I think we should, every much, all the men should do the dishes, do the cooking, and give them 1 month off. Well, at least I do in my family. Okay, to come back on an other note, school will be out within a week. It will be spring break. I know during spring break people tend to lay back, but let me tell you, it's only 1 little week, and you cannot fall back. All you have to do, I want you to flock to the library and do your homework, do your reading, do all of your assignments, because at the end of the day, the library is yours, and what you learn from it will last a lifetime. And finally, I want to say Happy St. Patrick's Day to all of my Jewish friends, Oh, Irish friend. See, I'm sitting by a Jewish, you understand? But I got a lot of Irish friends, so to all of my Irish friends,
We only count.
well, whatever. Top of the morning. All right, I will say that. Remember, I love you all. Good night. I see you next time.
Councilwoman Smith.
Thank you very much. His resolution was a proclamation, and I, whatever. But I have to tell you, I'm very proud to be up here tonight, and I'm very proud. Listen, nothing's perfect. And as we go along, we're going to do the best we can to make each project perfect. But what we've done is we've set the stage to bring projects forth. And I tell you, I'm very proud. I'm proud of our staff. I'm grateful for our staff. And I'm very proud of the hard work we all did. I mean, till tonight, 7 o'clock, I was still sitting with RMA. So I can tell you that it is a long journey, and you are going to reap the rewards. I also want to say that last Saturday, speaking of the library, I went to the Science Tea again this year, and I want to thank my colleagues for putting that in the budget. I want that to continue from now and forevermore. The young lady that was there that spoke, she was a good student, and she went to summer camp 8 weeks, and then at the end of the 8 weeks, she had 2 weeks between then and school, and so her mother said, do you want to go to the science camp in 5th grade? She really didn't want to go. Science was boring to her. But she said, okay, what else am I going to do? The first day she was there, they got on the floor, they did an experiment. She fell in love, and she is now applying to medical school. And it all stemmed, she thanked us, it stemmed from that 5th grade 2-week session. So it's just imperative. The room was full of grateful parents, and I can tell you it's something that I hope we keep up from now and forevermore. I also want to say that on Sunday, tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock is the seniors meeting on this floor. I don't mention it very often because it's getting to be standing room only, but I will tell you that I had the pleasure to go to, on Sunday, Winnie, for the Chinese community, is opening a very large senior activity conference, Northwest 48th Avenue, just off the Palmetto. And I had the pleasure to go to the opening and to the dinner. And I hope we can integrate their activities with our seniors and bring that list forth that they do, whether it's teaching them how to play cards or book reviews and what have you, because I think that it's another facility that our residents can use, and they need to really take it off the ground. They definitely need to get an air conditioner in that warehouse, and so they do need everybody's support. And it's a beautiful facility, I will tell you, and Winnie worked very hard with her colleagues to make it happen. I also want to add about Ms. Moss, who, when you lose a child, Ms. Mann, when you lose a child, there is no words that anybody can say. But I will tell you that at that service, when they said the roots are going to be planted forever, and that tree will be in North Miami Beach. So the little boy, it happened to be his birthday, Michael's birthday, the day we did it, and the little boy didn't want to leave. His grandmother had to go over and take his hand and say, what's the matter? And I have to tell you, I told him, because we planted this tree and have this plaque, he can always come back and visit it, and one day he can bring his children and tell them about his father. And I'm very appreciative of North Miami Beach for doing that for that beautiful family that has given 30 years of her life, has cared about us, and that Michael was actually brought up here in North Miami Beach. And with that, I'll just say, my next-door neighbor had a birthday party for Lee. Happy birthday to Lee. Happy birthday to your son, Commissioner, Councilwoman. And Lee's 91. I wish your son the same health. She's going on a trip for 3.5 weeks to Europe somewhere. And for St. Patty's Day, I will share with everybody my husband's parents. Donahue married O'Donoghue. And the Irish roots go way back, and in my daughter-in-law's family, the Irish roots are Dwyer. They go way back, and so my son took us all to Ireland. And I will tell you, he took the whole family, rented an 8-bedroom house. It was beautiful. But I will tell you, there's a commercial on television today that said, in the United States, we celebrate St. Patty's Day and wear green one day a year. In Ireland, we see green every day of the year, and that's how beautiful Ireland is. So with that, I say to everybody, blessed be to you all, and thank you very much. Good night.
Councilwoman Spiegel.
Thank you. First, for all of our residents, if you're still listening or if you happen to watch us somewhere down the road, we have an app, and I'm probably not technologically sound, but if there is something that you see in your neighborhood that requires attention, it's an app on the website, Mac.
Fix-It NMB. It's available on Apple, obviously iTunes, BlackBerry, as well as Android devices.
Okay, folks, don't wait for one of us sitting up here to be driving in your neighborhood and find out that there's a sewer leak and call the manager on Sunday. Take a picture of it, use the app, send it in. The city got somebody out there in less than an hour to address the problem. But you shouldn't just count on me driving around the city and finding your sewer leak for you. But we have that app. Use it, folks. I want to take a minute to acknowledge our Parks and Rec Department and our manager. And February 14th was the Valentine's Day dinner. February 28th was the Heart Health Walk. What was last Saturday's date? The date was the International Tea. And now on March 20th is the Youth Symposium. Now, this grew out of a COSW project, and the From Selma to Ferguson to You was definitely a COSW direction idea. But to do back-to-back-to-back things, Madam Manager, Madam Director of Parks and Rec, all your staff. And I know that these don't happen without Jackie and Glenn and Natalie and everybody else getting in there, but you guys are doing great work. Thank you. And for all the parents who are listening, all the teenagers who are listening, From Selma to Ferguson to You is maybe one of the most valuable afternoons, days that you can spend learning what your history was, learning from the past what to do in the future. So please, you're not going to be in school on Friday. Call 305-948-2957 and register. There's continental breakfast. There's lunch. There are speakers. There are lots of kids in your age range who are going to be there, and it's going to be really valuable. Parents, get your kids out there. It's better for them to be here with us than out running loose. Tomorrow is recycling. If you're still up and listening, go put your recycling bin out now. On behalf of all my council members, because I'm sure they haven't thought about the calendar, we're not going to be here until after. So from this council of the city of North Miami Beach, happy Passover, happy Easter. Wow. With that, have a good night.
Ditto.
Mayor Valle.
Okay, well, just a couple of quick announcements. First of all, once again, congratulations to Dottie. Yep, go ahead.
Because I went to the library meeting yesterday, and this is really cool. Mr. Mayor, you're going to love this. You now, through the city's library and the email apps that they have, you can have digital access to magazines. So you can get Rolling Stone, Cosmopolitan, Women's Health, Popular Science, Newsweek, National Geographic, a bunch of magazines, and it's through our city library, so enjoy it.
Thank you. There you go. I'm going to download it next here. So, Okay, well, first of all, like I said, I wanted to just once again congratulate our Deputy City Attorney, Dottie Joseph, for being named President of the Haitian American Lawyers Association. Tremendous honor, tremendous event, and what a great event at that scholarship gala that they had, where they raised money and gave scholarships to very, very deserving students. It was a great event. We're very, very proud for her and very proud to be involved in it. March 21st, that's Saturday, Lauren Book will be walking with the Lawrence Kids Walk, the annual walk from Key West to Tallahassee. They will be coming through our area. So if you want to get out there and do some walking, I'm sure my colleagues and I will be out there supporting a great cause. You know, Councilman DiFilippo, I just wanted to say something. You know, I was very happy to see your dad come up today and the comments that he made, and you know, I want to echo those thank yous to the staff, because you know, I've seen a level of just energy in the organization which has been tremendous, and so I want to say thank you, Madam Manager, and everybody in the staff. But those comments that he made are right on point. That is what our residents are seeing out there. So I want to say thank you for reminding me when you said what you said about it. And you know, I get your dad is he is one of our most involved citizens. He must call you 300 times, because he calls me once a day with some tidbit or something that's happening. This over here, this over here, and this. But you know what? He's on the ball. He's out there. He's pointing out what needs to be done. And Ken, thank you so much for being that involved citizen. So I want to say thank you. You know, lastly, I want to say thank you again, colleagues, because today was yet another step in setting the example of good governance for a city. And, you know, here we are sticking to the game plan. We wrote a plan, a strategic plan. We set out the priorities. We told the staff, the manager and the administration, here is what we need to do. They've been sticking to it, bringing us bit by bit as they complete each one. And it's great to see the organization moving in that direction without the excessive interference of that you see in other cities, and that's really good governance at work. And the important part is that we are bringing the pride back to North Miami Beach of where it should be. And you know, it doesn't happen overnight, but step by step, making changes step by step in an organized fashion, using the best possible thinking out there. We're getting there, and this is that phrase I like to use, the Renaissance of North Miami Beach. Well, today is another giant step in the Renaissance of North Miami Beach. It's another promise made to our residents, and it's a promise kept. So I want to say thank you, guys, and we will be back April 7th for our next meeting. We hope to see you then at 7:30 p.m. And I heard a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor? Aye. We're adjourned. Good night, everybody. Thank you. Shoot it from over here. Over there.